Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sedgwick County Board of Commissioners meeting. For those joining us online, Facebook and YouTube, and everyone joining us in person, we're glad you're here today. When you walk in, we encourage you to grab a meeting agenda packet that allows you to follow along with the items we're discussing on the County Commission meeting. If you're ever curious about supporting documents, we have access. You can always access those at sedgwickcounty.org. Now let's get to work and call the meeting to order for April 8th, 2026. Madam Clerk, first item.
Invocation to be led by Pastor Chris Helding, First Evangelical Free Church. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everyone. I know you have many important things to discuss, so no sermon today, but I just wanted to read a brief passage of Scripture before praying for us. A reminder from the Lord Jesus, who had to remind his disciples, who each wanted to be the greatest, that we're here to serve as he served. So this is what Jesus said to them. He called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we praise you because you are high and lifted up above all. You have been resurrected in victory over sin and death. And yet, Lord, we praise you because you humbled yourself to become like us, to become man, and then to die in our place. And so we thank you for that. And Lord, we pray that as we serve in the vocations you've given us, as each of our public officials, our public servants here today serve in their roles, that they really would have the hearts of servants, that they would seek not their own good, not to be the greatest or the most prominent themselves, but to serve those in their care and those whom they've been elected to serve. We thank you for the role that each of us have today, and we pray that we would do it with humility and with love for those around us for your glory. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Roll call. Commissioner Meitzner.
Present.
Commissioner Beatty.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Commissioner Wise.
Present.
Chairman Blubaugh.
Present. Next item.
County announcements.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Nicole Gibbs of Strategic Communications. We're going to start off today with good news. The Sedgwick County Division of Finance continues to bring home the awards. This time they received a AAA rating with a stable outlook from the S&P Global Ratings. This is the highest ranking offered by the agency. Our finance team has earned this award dating back to 2010. Sedgwick County is one of just 2 counties in Kansas with a AAA rating and one of 110 counties with the same rating throughout the U.S. The finance team is here to be recognized later today. Okay, next up, just a quick reminder that the April burn ban is in effect for Sedgwick County through the end of the month. The new open burn permits will not be issued until May 1st, and current permit holders are not allowed to burn until next month. You can request a permit through the Sedgwick County Fire Marshal by visiting them online at www.sedgwickcounty.org/fire. And lastly, Environmental Resources will host free electronic waste collection events the last 2 weekends of this month at the West Yard at 4701 Southwest Street. The event runs April 23rd through 25th, and then again April 30th through May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. A complete list of items can be found online at sedgwickcounty.org, and it includes everything from computers to TVs and cell phones. This collection is intended for individual households and businesses, not those selling or recycling electronics. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Beatty?
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. Hey, I do want to just pause real quick on the AAA rating. That's a conversation that we've had here every year I've been on the commission. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later today, but while people are here before they leave after proclamations and such, you mentioned it, but we're only one of 110 counties nationally that carry a AAA bond rating.
Correct.
That's a significant thing that saves the taxpayers dollars. General obligation bonds is very much a part of how we do roads and bridges and fund capital projects. And there's a theory that these types of uses that multiple generations will be using, multiple generations should pay for it. That's why we utilize bonding. And to be able to bond at rates that we're able to bond saves taxpayers significant money. So there's a practical effect, but there's a lot of work that goes into being able to build financial policy and have good stewardship that delivers a AAA rating. So to finance, again, thank you. I believe, I might butcher this, but the CFO will tell me if I do. We've also had, I think, 5 perfect audits. Is that correct? And that's rarefied air to get perfect audits in government because of the amount of transactions that we do and the depth and the breadth of Sedgwick County government, 3,000 employees, 46 departments. So we need to pause so the taxpayers are aware the stewardship that's happening with their tax dollars and the resources of Sedgwick County government. So again, congratulations, one of 110 counties nationally that carries this type of rating. So congrats to finance.
Yes, that's also due to commission as well and helping being good stewards of that money too.
Well,
So in partnership with finance,
I know I
we
wasn't going to
appreciate
say that, Nicole, but
it is true. But our finance does a lot of the paperwork and the support to do it. So we are appreciative of them as well.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Anything else, Nicole?
No, sir, that's all I have today.
And I believe we do want to take a picture with finance. And what I'd like to do is after we do proclamations, we'd like to do pictures. So for the 2 proclamations, if you guys don't mind sticking around until after we get done with both of them, and then we'll take a short recess. We'll go out and take pictures, if that's all right.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next item.
Public agenda.
Public agenda. We have 3 folks signed up on the public agenda. And please state your name and address. The first one is Caitlin Grubenbacher.
She just stepped up.
She's here. Good morning, Caitlin.
Sorry, I brought my toddler with me today.
That's okay.
Come here. Good morning, commissioners. I apologize for missing last week, but I definitely watched your discussion on data centers, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the detail that went into it. I do have one question. During this application pause, I know we've been talking about putting the data centers in industrial locations. What if we have already rezoned during this pause a piece to industrial, not understanding? It's my understanding you guys aren't familiar with where the sites are. What if we have already shifted a piece to industrial without knowing that it could potentially be a site? What would the options be for that?
I mean, I don't know that we're prepared to answer any questions. I think we were
That's
just
fine.
kind of having a public brainstorming is the way I felt. I don't know
No,
that
that's
we're
fine. I just
far
was
enough along
something
there
to throw out.
I mean, if any other, Commissioner Wise, want to take it?
I think it's a really good point. We don't want to have something sneak by us, is what you're saying. And if we say that it has to be already zoned industrial, and perhaps it is at that point, that could cause some issues. So I think that right now, words are going to matter. So whether it's existing industrial or adjacent to, or however we need to word that. But I expressed last week as well that I don't think that this should ever be a by right use, that we should always have an application brought before the board with this type of use. So I'll voice it again to just our staff and everyone that I do feel that we need to be sure that it's not a by right use, no matter if it's industrial zoning already or not.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that was
Okay.
it this morning. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Well,
Tom, did you
I
want
was
to?
gonna- just if I'm understanding the question, just the logistics that are impossible with the timing that we are bringing the June deadline for bringing this back to commission. We can't rezone something that fast. So I think that it's just logistically impossible to even consider that. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joe Shear? And the next one I've got is Adam May, but Adam, I've got that you spoke last week, so we do have a policy that you have to wait another week before you can speak. It's all right.
So, okay, thanks. Joe, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just want to say thanks again for your time. One of the things I get these weekly updates regarding the data centers across the nation and the concerns with people. We've heard about Massachusetts totally maybe be putting a ban on data centers right now. But one of the largest things that we're seeing is the power grid. Now, we've listened to our energy source, but if you look at a lot of the articles going across the United States today, they're continuing talking about the grids going down, and that's a big concern for all of us, as we've talked before. So, and I say data centers, I'm talking hyperscale data centers. So, just to be clear. But anyway, I just want to talk about that a little bit. And also, again, we really believe that they need to be zoned in industrial areas, not rural areas. So it's just a big concern of us. So you've heard me say this many times, so I'm not going to continue to repeat myself and take more of your time. So anyway, I want to say thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Joe? Thanks for being here, Joe. That concludes our public agenda. Madam Clerk, next item.
Consideration of minutes.
Or I'm sorry, we want to make a motion to receive and file public comment. Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meinster. Aye. Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howe.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Next item.
Consideration of minutes. Item A, special meeting minutes of March 25th, 2026.
Okay. You've all had an opportunity to read the minutes from March 25th, 2026. Any questions? If not, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meinster.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howe.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Next item, please.
Proclamations. Item B, proclamation declaring Fair Housing Month.
All right. And I'd like to read this proclamation. Whereas the Fair Housing Act enacted April 11th, 1968, preserved into federal law the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, and disability, it commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing in their communities. And whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment are strengthening through diverse, welcoming communities. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are unacceptable to common sense of decency and fairness. And whereas fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of members of the Realtors of South Central Kansas and is critical to the ability of all housing professionals to serve their clients, customers, and communities. Now, therefore, be resolved that I, Chairman Jeff Bluebow, and the Board of Sedgwick County Commissioners do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Fair Housing Month to establish Sedgwick County as a welcoming community and welcome to fair housing and encourage citizens to participate in activities by private and public entities intended to provide or advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents of Wichita, Kansas, April 2026. That's the proclamation. I'd like to make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meinster.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howe.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Wendy Carter is here, President of the Realtors of South Central Kansas, to accept the proclamation.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
And thank you guys for the reception this morning. You
Yes, thank
brought a great group here.
Thank you for joining us. So, good morning, County Commissioners and members of the public. My name is Wendy Carter, and I am the 2026 President of your local Realtor Association. I'm honored to be here alongside fellow RSCK members to receive this proclamation on behalf of Sedgwick County, as well as the many communities we serve across South Central Kansas. In 2015, the associations of Ark City, Butler County, Newton, Winfield, Wichita merged to form Realtors of South Central Kansas. In 2024, the Great Plains Association of Realtors, consisting of 13 counties, including Saline County, joined us. Then in December 2025, we acquired Sumner County, bringing our total reach to 18 counties. This year, we proudly celebrate 105 years as the voice of real estate in our region, a voice that champions fair housing, advocates for accessible homeownership, and supports the American dream. We recognize the lasting importance of fair housing and reaffirm our commitment to upholding fair housing laws while providing equal professional service to everyone in their search for a home. For realtors, fair housing is more than rules, regulations, or continuing education. It's core value. As stewards of the American dream, we rely on a market grounded in equal opportunity. Fair housing not only protects consumers, but also strengthens our communities and our industry. We acknowledge that discrimination in housing still exists today. As community leaders, we have both the responsibility and the opportunity to be part of the solution, ensuring fairness, equity, and equal service for all. April is Fair Housing Month and a time to reaffirm our commitment to building strong, inclusive communities. Fair housing impacts every citizen, every market, and every neighborhood. Thank you, and we invite you to join us in recognizing and celebrating Fair Housing Month throughout April. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Beatty.
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody being here today. I always say that if we want to get a good temperament of where the economy is on a local level, we talk to engineers, architects, and realtors, and they typically give us an idea of what's in the pipeline and what's happening. But I also want to take a step further because the Realtors of South Central Kansas, I believe, also hosts the MLS board within, and I know that you have talked with the county appraiser, Deanna Aspiden, and this conversation about how do we lean into the knowledge of realtors to make sure that all valuations that are happening in Sedgwick County are fair, they're equal, they're as consistent as possible. And I know you guys in your board in particular are leaning into that conversation, and I just want to thank you publicly. I want the citizens of Sedgwick County to know that the county appraiser, that she is, that she's working alongside you guys and entering into conversations as to how do we do this collectively. So thank you for engaging those conversations and working with the county on these things. So appreciate you.
Yeah, I want to echo Commissioner Beatty's comments as well. You know, I've been a 25-year member of the Realtors of South Central Kansas as well, and I've appreciated working the government side, whether it's working with Gentry or the organization, how we do need to be interconnected because you know our touch points are the same, and especially the conversations going right now where a lot of people are upset with property valuations. They don't want their property valued for higher than what they can sell it for. I appreciate you guys being part of that conversation because no one wants to pay taxes on for a higher value than what their property is. So appreciate you guys working with us. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you guys very much. If you'll stick around just for a few minutes after we do the proclamations, we'd love to get a picture with you guys. Okay. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item C, proclamation declaring National Public Health Week.
Okay. Commissioner Wise?
Yes, I would be honored to read this proclamation. Whereas the week of April 6th through 12th, 2026 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Ready, Set, Action. And whereas this week provides an opportunity to recognize how public health efforts improve daily life, protect families, extend life expectancy, and strengthen communities, while also honoring the dedicated public health professionals who serve our community each day, supporting policies and practices that promote good health for all. And whereas public health professionals play a vital role in preventing disease, promoting healthy communities, and protecting residents from health threats. And whereas Dr. Doran Fredrickson, a dedicated public health leader in Sedgwick County, passed away in 2008 after a lifetime of service to improve the health of our community. And whereas his legacy and the work of other dedicated public leaders, including this year's honoree, Dr. Elizabeth Abla, is recognized through the Doran Fredrickson Lifetime Commitment to Public Health Award. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Chairman Jeff Blubaugh and the Board of Sedgwick County Commissioners do hereby proclaim April 6th through the 12th of 2026 as National Public Health Week in Sedgwick County. Now, we invite Adrian Byrne, Director of Public Health of Sedgwick County Health Department, to come forward for the presentation of the 2026 Doran Fredrickson Lifetime Commitment to Public Health Award. Adrian?
Good morning, Commissioners and Board of Health. Adrienne Byrne, Health Director. So this week, as you mentioned, we recognize National Public Health Week, April 6th through 12th, and the essential role that public health plays in our community. The theme, Ready, Set, Action, reminds us to turn awareness into action and then impact. In our community, this means continuing to protect families, promote wellness, prevent disease, and work in partnership to build a healthier Sedgwick County. I'd like to thank our many partners in public health and our colleagues, some of who are here this morning, and a special shout out to Sedgwick County employees for everything they do every day. As we recognize National Public Health Week, it's especially meaningful to honor individuals whose dedication has shaped and strengthened public health over a lifetime. Today, we have the privilege of recognizing one such individual. For the last 17 years, except for a pause during COVID, the Health Department honors Dorn Fredrickson, MD, PhD, and his extraordinary efforts in public health by awarding the Dorn Fredrickson Commitment to Public Health Award to an individual who has demonstrated a lifetime commitment of at least 25 years or longer to public health. This year's awardee was nominated by Sonia Armbruster, who's in our audience, who was a recipient of the award 2 years ago, and we also have Dr. Mins, who was the recipient last year. So Dr. Elizabeth Obla is a professor and vice chair in the Department of Population Health at the University of Kansas School of Medicine, Wichita. Dr. Obla received her Master's of Public Health at KU School of Medicine, Wichita, and her PhD in Community Health from Wichita State University. Dr. Obla leads an elective course for medical students, clinical and population-based research, teaches for the Master's in Public Health and Master of Science in Clinical Research programs, and she conducts workshops in the community, nationally and internationally. Dr. Obla is an established community-based researcher with a focus on improving the health of populations. She has extensive experience in using community-based methods to engage hard-to-reach and marginalized populations with the intent of improving equity. Her research interest is designing evidence-based interventions that emphasize policy, systems, and environmental strategies that improve health behaviors and outcomes in communities. The success of Dr. Obla's students is a testament to her dedication. She has overseen countless research projects, many of which have been published and presented at prestigious forums. Her innovative teaching methods and commitment to student success have earned her multiple teaching awards and nominations. Dr. Obla has been awarded numerous grants and contracts related to improving health through prevention strategies and policy, systems, and environmental changes. She has received a number of community service awards, but many aren't aware of this because she's so humble and rarely shares her successes. In Wichita, the Coalition of Coalitions named Dr. Obla a public health hero. She has received the Award for Excellence in Conservation and Environmental Education from Kansas Association for Conservation and Environmental Education. The Kansas Public Health Association awarded Dr. Obla the Special Service Award and the Samuel J. Crumbine Medal, which is the highest award in public health. Dr. Obla's recent work includes leading the Facts Not Fear ICT program, whose purpose was to improve health literacy, reduce health disparities, and expand access to health care, which was negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Obla has been an advisor at the community as the community addressed the challenges associated with the 29th and Grove contamination site remediation. There is simply not enough room in this award nomination, Sonia said, but she tried. I had to eliminate about 5 pages last night, to enumerate Dr. Obla's worthiness for recognition as the next Dorn Fredrickson Commitment to Public Health Award recipient. Dr. Obla and Dr. Fredrickson were colleagues in the Department of Preventive Medicine and Public Health. Dr. Obla is the best friend anyone could hope to have, and she has been a friend to and committed to public health advocate for Sedgwick County community for over 25 years. Sonia said, I've recently read a description of Dr. Abla that stated, I can honestly say I've never encountered a more exemplary individual who cares more about her community and the well-being of others. I cannot say it better. She is funny, caring, and a driven public health professional who has dedicated and is dedicated to serving Wichita, Sedgwick County, and Kansas. She's extremely humble. I was running out of time to connect with Dr. Abla, and so I was leaving on a Friday evening about a month ago, and I sent her a quick email because I knew she'd be working on Friday evening, and I said, hey, reach out to me if you would, because I want to talk to you about something. So I get home, and she calls me later, and she said, hey, what's up? And I said, I wanted to let you know who was the recipient of the next Dr. Fredrickson Award. Who? You. Pause. That's like me pausing. It doesn't happen very often. So with heartfelt sincerity to just a wonderful human being, I proudly call you up here to receive this award. Dr. Fredrickson, Commitment to Public Health, presented to Dr. Elizabeth Abla in honor of a lasting commitment to public health and in recognition of contributions that reflect the legacy of Dr. Doran Fredrickson through service, leadership, and community impact in Sedgwick County, April 8th, 2020.
Congratulations. You'd like to share a few words?
Thank you. Yes, I would. Ms. Byrne, thank you. I don't know where you went. Oh, there you are. You went back to where you were sitting with me. I should be able to figure that. Thank you very much for your very kind words. Commissioners, thank you for this honor. Good morning, everyone. I am truly deeply touched. I'm honored to receive this award. I was nominated by colleagues and friends whose work, brilliance, and commitment to public health and the work that they do, I greatly respect. This makes this recognition especially meaningful. Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues and friends who are here today. Because of you, I am part of an extraordinary community, and I am extremely thankful for your support and partnership and your dedication to public health. This work is made better, and it's more joyful because we do it together. I am grateful to work alongside the team at Sedgwick County and Sedgwick County Health Department. The dedication, expertise, and perseverance of public health professionals are often most visible in moments of crisis. The true impact of public health, however, resides in the steady daily work that prevents crises from happening at all. The work being done at Sedgwick County reflects the best of public health, evidence-based, community-centered, and rooted in service. Thank you for the work that you do. I am profoundly grateful to my parents. Where is my mother? She's hiding. Who taught me about the importance of caring for others, contributing to our community, and dedicating time to the service of something larger than oneself. My father always encouraged me to find my passion, and my mother introduced me to public health. She was literally the first graduate with the last name ABLAH of the Master Public Health Program at KU Wichita. Their values shaped the path that led me here, and I carry their light with me in all that I do. This award is of great significance to me because it honors the legacy of Dr. Doran Fredrickson, a former professor, mentor, and colleague of mine. Dr. Fredrickson was one of the founding members of our department, Preventive Medicine and Public Health at the University of Kansas School of Medicine, Wichita. He was one brilliant, joyful, tender, and relatively quirky man. He embodied curiosity. I do have my glasses. That actually will make this much easier. Yep. He asked questions, engaged in conversations long after most people lost interest in the subject. He taught some of the most rigorous courses in our Master of Public Health program, and he worked diligently to ensure all of his students understand the content and why it mattered. His brain could adeptly switch from being a caring pediatrician to a thought-provoking professor, to a dedicated health officer, to a loyal son working on his parents' farm, to a guy who goes to auctions because he could find some really incredible deals, like a minivan for a single man. He sought excellence, and he had very specific ideas of how excellence was to be defined. I overheard him many times encouraging students to, at most, use 2 colors on academic posters. Ideally, a white background and black font being 2 of those colors. His heart was light, and his attitude was playful. Doran took great pleasure in sneaking up to my office and then pounding on the door, yelling my name and laughing uncontrollably as I jumped and screamed and yelled. He was the original MacGyver, ingenuity up to his eyeballs. The things that man could accomplish with a roll of duct tape were remarkable. When I first started working at KU, I had an old Saab that was a little peculiar car. I could take out the key and it would continue running. I would turn left and the right door would open. That kind of thing. One evening, Doran walked out with me to my car. I told him that something was wrong with the car, and he had a roll of duct tape in hand. He lifted the hood, shimmied under the car, explained mechanical processes that I vaguely understood or cared about for that matter, and I am certain he applied duct tape somewhere, and somehow it worked. Doran exemplified what it means to commit to a career of serving the public good. He led with curiosity, integrity, and unwavering belief that public health saves lives long before anyone notices. He reminds me even today, especially today, that this work matters, that public health improves the conditions in which people live and work, and if we were all to be a little bit more like Doran, where we play. Public health at its core is about responsibility to one another, to future generations, and to communities that depend on systems that most people never even consider. Public health requires collaboration, trust, and a long view. I am very proud to be part of a field that holds these values among colleagues who apply these values daily. I accept this award with sincere gratitude, knowing it reflects the collective efforts of mentors, colleagues, friends, and family who walk this path together. Thank you for this true honor, for remembering Dr. Doran Fredrickson and his legacy, and for your continued commitment to public health.
Commissioner Beatty. You're not getting off that easy. Dr. Abla, a couple thoughts. One, we're here to honor you today because the Lifetime Commitment Award is a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. And it's a testament to your character that we're here to talk about you and honor you, and yet 90% of your remarks were about Dr. Fredrickson. That's a testament to your character. So thank you. This is a really big deal. And I want to also publicly acknowledge and thank you that around the work that you do around water contamination issues. I bet I have read your research on the West Wichita water contamination issue a dozen times. You led the way in this community in something that many people were not aware of, and yet it was you that brought the attention, and you pushed reforms, and municipalities adjusted because of the work you did. And thousands upon thousands of people in West Wichita have safe drinking water because of your work. And a lot of people don't know that. They deserve to know that. I also want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work you've done around 29th and Grove. 40 years of an injustice of the individuals that did not know what was going on beneath their feet, the poison that was beneath their feet. And you were able to calm a room of a lot of scared people and bring a level of certainty and hope and an academic awareness of what was going on. And you are the only one in the community that could do what you did, what took place. I see it. You are a legend in my mind. We will build a statue of you one day. Oh, God, in all sincerity, you are one of a kind, and your brilliance is infectious. It is. And I think people listening to your comments today, they got a little taste of what we have come to enjoy in working with you so much. So congratulations. This is a big deal, and you're a big deal. So I want to thank you for your commitment to not just public health, but your commitment to the people here in this community. They deserve to know all the work you've done. And I hope one day to be able to tell more of what you've done for 29th and Grove in West Wichita. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Beatty.
Commissioner Meister.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Congratulations. Comments from Adrian were fantastic. Your comments were great. There's a great reception of people here to honor you, and I see Dr. Menz in the audience. I see our WSU Provost, Monica's in the audience. So you've got, along with the rest of the support, it's, I just want to remind, as we talked on the stairs, I haven't seen you since COVID. And what trying times those were. And I can't thank you and Dr. Menz for your input during those very troublesome times. And here we were, I think Commissioner Howell was with me at the time. I don't even think we realized that we were Commission over Health and Board of Health, and that was eye-opening. All those decisions about mask, no mask, vaccine, no vaccine. People couldn't visit their loved ones in the hospital. And I know we have issues all the time, but it puts all these issues that are pretty volatile, even like we're going through things like data centers right now that don't compare at all to what we went through. And your help and your guidance and suggestions, and God, we were meeting 2 or 3 times a week during that stuff and talking to the school districts and everything that you guys did during that time. It was a bad chapter in our community, but in the country. And boy, am I glad that that's over. And it's just something to look back as a bad, bad nightmare. But you were very helpful, and I just can't thank you enough. What Commissioner Beatty has said and others, it's incredibly valuable. And we're lucky to have you in our community, and we are fortunate, very fortunate to have you. And I'm very glad that you were also a pioneer, because you were the first to use driverless cars, apparently. You are a pioneer. No, but my congratulations and thanks. Thank you, Dr. Menz, and others that helped during those times. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be remiss if I didn't speak up a little bit here as well. It's been a lot of good things said this morning. I'm grateful that this award exists to honor Dr. Fredrickson. Great man, a legacy, and I guess my comment would be, I don't know the process on how they decide who to give this award to, but they got this right this year. You're very well deserving, and there's been great recipients in the past. I think Dr. Menz, you certainly deserve that as well, and Sonia, thank you for your service. But this year, the fact that you're being honored is just obvious. You needed to be honored, and you are also a legacy. And I think the comments that have been made, I completely agree, echo those comments. I think a statue is probably going to happen. And Commissioner Meister stole a lot of my comments, actually. I was going to just reflect on this fact that you think data centers is complicated. Turn the clock back to COVID. That was the most complicated and trying time, I think, in Sedgwick County's history. That was a very, very difficult time. And you were right there. We didn't agree on everything. But what I did learn about you is you're very data-driven. I think that's a great place to be. You're data-driven. You develop your own opinion. No one tells you what to think. You're very smart. In fact, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. I say that with great respect. You're very, very smart. and you're kind, and you work with people where they are. And so I think it's just, you're a very nice person. You're a great expert in your field. And I think this is extremely fitting that you're getting this award. So whoever made the decision, you got it right this year. Thank you for your service to Sedgwick County. I mean that from my heart. You're the right person. I'm so glad that you're getting this recognition that you deserve. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Howe.
I just want to echo some of the comments. We worked together more whenever I was on the city than over here at the county, but whether it was the contamination of the water out west or the trying times through COVID, I always held your opinion in very high regard. So I appreciate it. I always felt like it was just always no nonsense. A lot of times I'll question someone's opinion. I never question your opinion. Thank you very much. Commissioner Wise.
Dr. Obla, we haven't had time to spend together yet, but I look forward to serving on the Health and Wellness Coalition with you and getting to know you better. You were very quick to offer your expertise when we talk about possible environmental or water contamination caused by data centers. So you're in that conversation too. It doesn't end with disease or COVID or anything like that. You're involved in a lot, and so I look forward to getting to know you more. And without knowing a whole lot, I can say everything that's been said today is true, and you are very, very respected. And this award just, I hope you know how much you mean to this community.
Thank you.
Yep. So, commissioners, back to the proclamation. We don't need to vote on the award. She clearly deserves, but we do need to vote on the proclamation. So I move to approve the proclamation as read for Public Health Week.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Wise?
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow?
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. If you don't mind, we'd like to take a quick 5-minute recess and go out and take pictures. So we'll be back here in a few minutes.
County Councilor. We've got 3 different appointment items today. I'll just read through each of those. Item D is a resolution appointing Jeff Davison to the Sedgwick County Park Township Treasurer position as recommended by Commissioner Beatty. And as you all know, under state law, when there's a vacancy on a township board, it's by state statute, the Board of County Commissioners is tasked with filling that vacancy. Item E is a resolution appointing Maddie Orton to the Sedgwick County Aging and Physical Disabilities Advisory Council, again, as recommended by Commissioner Beatty. And then item F is a resolution appointing Tim Austin to the Wichita Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission in an at-large position. I did want to take a quick moment to note there are a lot of really highly qualified individuals for this opening, and are very much value that they submitted their applications. I did want to note that the Planning Commission, I've said this before, you probably heard me say this, that Planning Commission really out of all your advisory boards probably is the most time consuming of them, because it's not only the Planning Commission cases in the unincorporated area, but also the city. They act as the Board of Zoning Appeals for city and county Board of Zoning Appeals cases. Those members also serve on either advanced plans or subdivision committees. So it is a gigantic time commitment by anyone who serves on that committee, and the compensation is $0. So we always appreciate folks who are willing to serve in that capacity. Recommended action on all 3 of those items is to adopt the resolution.
Okay, you've heard the recommended action. Commissioner Meissner?
Yeah, if we making a motion, can we make a motion to approve D and E, and then we F separately?
Okay. And I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second for D and E. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meissner?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Wise?
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow?
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. And I would like to make a motion.
We're here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay, we're going to swear in. Okay.
For those that are here, yes.
Okay.
I don't know, Jeff.
Yep.
Morning, Commissioners. All right, please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Sedgwick County Aging and Physical Disabilities Advisory Council. So help me God.
I do.
Congratulations. If you'd like to state anything, you can.
I am honored to be appointed to the to this board. I have just been named the Park City Senior Center Director. I'm very thrilled for this opportunity. You know, the service that's provided by Sedgwick County through this board, I believe, are some of the most critical services that anybody can provide. And I'm just happy to have the opportunity to represent Park City and what, you know, our community is doing and how we're doing it in partnership with the county. So I'm very grateful and thankful. And yeah, thank you for having me. And I look forward to serving on this board and giving it all that I can and partnering with the county and Park City, any opportunities possible that we have. So
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Beatty.
Yeah, Maddie, just want to thank you for your work. And you've been with Park City for a bit, and this is a different role for you, but you stepped right into this when asked. And putting you on this board is just a natural connect. We need your wisdom at that table. We need your heart at that table. And I'm really excited about your role with the Park City Senior Center. For those that don't know, you guys just opened up a brand new facility. It is first class. It's a remarkable facility, and you're going to be leading that effort. So with all the work that we do with senior centers and the aging department here, we'll have a very close relationship, and I'm excited to work with you. Thanks for serving.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Sedgwick County Park Township Treasurer. So help me God. I do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Beatty.
Yeah. Jeff, any comments?
I just appreciate the opportunity. I remember growing up riding in the road graders with my dad in the local township and stuff like that. And so, when there's extra need, or maybe it's a rainstorm or a snowstorm or trees falling or serving the community. And so I just appreciate the opportunity. It's kind of come full circle, and
Sure has.
It's neat to serve.
Well, Jeff, thank you for being willing to serve. For clarity to the public, I know Justin kind of mentioned it, but township officials, the trustee, the clerk, and the, what's the third? Treasurer, yeah, the money person. They're elected. These are independent taxing jurisdictions that take care of township roads, township ditches and culverts. They are elected. The only time the county commission gets involved in the township is when there's a vacancy. By state statute we appoint. And we had a few people that had reached out interested in this position. It's a very thankless job. And when you and I talked, you just have the perfect temperament, man, to do this and to do it well, to come onto that board and be fruitful for our township. I live in Park Township. So I just want to thank you for your willingness to serve. You're a very busy guy with a lot going on, and your willingness to serve your community in this regard, it's meaningful. So, Jeff, thanks for being willing to do this.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Commissioner Wise?
Are we moving on to the next?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need to call item F again, or can we just move on?
Commissioner, I think you could just note that any motion you might make is for item F, and that'd be sufficient.
Okay. So as we move on item F, Tim Austin has been a professional that I've called on for 10 plus years for civil engineering expertise, just in my life as a commercial realtor. So I am very comfortable and would be honored to make the motion to approve Tim Austin for the Planning Commission role.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meissner,
No.
Commissioner Beatty,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss,
Aye.
Chairman Blueball.
Aye. And the motion passes 4-1. Tim, would you like to come down?
I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Wichita, Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you.
Morning, Tim.
Good morning,
Been here.
Commissioners. Thank you to all of you. Here to support the community. Obviously, have a lot of knowledge and expertise and long history of involvement in community policy issues. And obviously, there's a number of policy issues that you guys are facing that fit right in my wheelhouse as a civil engineer. So looking forward to the service. So thank you.
Yeah, Tim, I appreciate you stepping up, especially right now. You follow everything that's going on. You see how much we've got going on with data centers and solar and everything else. So you guys are going to have a lot of hard decisions to make. So
Definitely.
Appreciate you stepping up and bringing your subject matter expertise to the table. Commissioner Beatty?
Yeah, Tim, thank you. Appreciate it. This really is another one of those thankless jobs. It's a lot of work. I know our Planning Commission Chair, Bob Aldrich, is here today. This is a big deal. And you help to shape zoning policy, land use policy, and make recommendations to the Wichita City Council and the Sedgwick County Commission on decisions that need to be made. And your resume is really unique from the civil engineer side to you've done development now, private development. Like, you understand it on a variety of different levels, which is, I think, is going to be a really, really big asset. And your voice at that table is going to be really needed, especially as we're working through subdivision regulations and new things that we're working on here at the county. So thank you for you're busy and you're willing to serve in this role. So thank you for being willing to do that.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Commissioner Reisner, sorry.
And Tim,
Sorry, Kelly grabbed me here.
Tim, I know I did not support this. There was a lot of good candidates, and I did not support, but I'm more than welcome to visit with you one-on-one, and we can talk about some stuff. But I trust that you're going to do a great job, and it's a wonderful, that is a big time appointment, and so welcome to the big time.
I appreciate that, Commissioner, and maybe people that are watching don't know that you and I have a long history together from your time on the City Council, so we know each other well. So thank you.
So we can visit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item G, a resolution authorizing and providing for the making of improvements to the Regional Forensic Science Center in Sedgwick County, Kansas, and providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds to pay for the cost thereof.
Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Lindsay Powerso, your CFO. So I am here today. Garth Herman also, Gilmore and Bell is here today, but I'm hoping we don't have to call him all the way down here to the podium. But I do want to thank him for his work in putting this information together for you. So as you all recall, I hope you recall, in the CIP that you all adopted last year, you did approve an expansion of the Regional Forensic Science Center DNA lab building and a remodel of their current space. And the way that was built was that we would spend funds in this year for design and then actual construction next year, with the intent to then, once the project is substantially complete, issue bonds to reimburse ourselves for those costs. So at the time that you all authorized that capital improvement project, the estimated cost was just under $20.4 million. And so, as you know, when we go through a bond issuance process, there's several steps. The first step is adopting a capital improvement plan with the intent to bond fund. This is then the next step in that process, where you all authorize the resolution that's before you today that essentially states your intent to do this work and then use bond proceeds to reimburse us for those costs. Once this project authorization is in place, it basically secures our ability to spend money and make it eligible for that reimbursement. So we still have several process points left in this whole project. Obviously, we will still need to have a construction contract that's approved, and then we would go through a bond issuance. We're projecting sometime in 2028 to do that. So this is step 2 in the process. We have this already obviously included in our financial forecast with no adverse impact to the county. So no issuing debt today, no bonds today, just simply stating your intent to do that long term. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If not, I recommend you authorize the resolution.
Okay. And Lindsay, you know, I got approached by the media yesterday and asked them specifically, and I had the same question when you look at the agenda item and it looks like it triggers a mill levy increase. But you kind of explain that again.
Absolutely. So again, because we are talking about issuing debt in 2028, the way we do our financial planning is that we look at what debt is going off of our books at the same time that new debt comes on, with the intention of trying to maintain a stable mill levy rate or stable property tax levy in that fund. So in this case, if we're issuing that new debt in 2028, we also have 2 relatively significant bond issuances that we pay off in that year. We will pay off the NCAT campus. That's roughly $3 million of debt service per year, in addition to, if some of you will remember, most of you will not, but we did an incentive project for Spirit, and that was a 10-year bond issuance that also pays off in 2028. And so as you can see in the backup materials, this is about $1.5 million of estimated bonds or debt service per year, and like I said, we've got well more than $3 million coming off. So there will be some other road and bridge projects and other things. You also improved Emergency Preparedness Center as a part of our bond funding dynamics. So all of those things come into play when we're putting together a financial plan to try and ensure that stability in your budget. So hopefully that answers your question, Chairman.
Commissioners, any other questions? If not, I'd like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, Commissioner Beatty?
Because media did bring this up. This is a conversation we had last year, so it is worth acknowledging why we're doing this to begin with. We're talking about the financial aspects of this today, but there's a purpose of why we're doing this expansion is inputs into the system, the public safety ecosystem, the medical ecosystem are growing and growing at a rapid pace. We have to try to scale facilities and infrastructure to keep demand. There were some significant issues with delays on toxicology reports, things as serious as date rape kits, things of that. Like the capacity is just not there in space to allow these individuals, these experts, these scientists to do the work that they need to do to deliver justice to this community. So we have a sheriff saying this is needed. We have Wichita Police Chief saying, please, we need this. We have a district attorney that acknowledged this is something that is very necessary to the entire justice system, and they depend on quick turnarounds in these things. So this is it's a very necessary, very needed thing. We spent a lot of time talking through this. So we're talking about the financial piece of this, but we can't skip the step that this is very needed. This is very core service to what we do at county government. We got to scale and do it responsibly. So
Yes, you all really don't like debt, and we know that. And so by the time a debt project is approved, the community really should understand that it has been thoroughly vetted by all of you to understand the need and urgency of those projects. So I think it's important, yes, to clarify that.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to remember, when did this get presented to the commission? I know we've talked about this numerous times. I know we've had consensus. It's probably been in the CIP. I'm guessing part of our budget we approved. Has this existing commission had deep discussions about this plan?
You did last year, yes. So we originally presented it as a part of your tentative recommended CIP during your budget hearings in May. And then later that month, we had a workshop where we went into the details of this because you all did have a number of questions that I could not answer as your finance person. And so, yes, we did have a relatively deep dive into exactly what this is and the different iterations that had been looked at over time. And so I'm happy to recirculate that video if that would be helpful.
I think that's good to note that this commission has had their chance to approve the plan, so to speak. I just want to say I'm not opposed to the debt. I am not opposed to the plan. I'm a little bit opposed to the site and exactly what we're doing there. I don't like that part of this plan. So I agree that we need to have enhanced capabilities. I think we need to expand our footprint needs to be expanded to accommodate the activities that are happening in that building. That all I do agree with. I just don't like the location, and I don't like the fact that this is going to be on two sides of the street, essentially. I think that's a problem. So part of me says, I don't know if I should vote for this or not. I mean, it's really not going to change the outcome, I don't think, but I guess I'd just like to let the public know that I do support part of this. I don't support everything that's going on here. So if I vote no today, it's only because I don't really love the design of that building and where it's going to be located and exactly what we're doing right there. I think we have other things we could have done, and I wish we would have explored other options in that regard. So a no vote today from me is not to be interpreted that I'm against enhancement and supportive of the Regional Forensic Science Center. That's not what this is. I wish we had a different location is really my point. So thank you so much.
I'll say that probably not a month goes by that I don't run into a law enforcement officer, whether it's WPD or one of our regional police officers. That's the first thing they always bring up to me is the turnaround time and anything you can do for the regional forensics and how important it is to their job. I mean, it's just something I constantly hear about. So I appreciate making this of importance, and I do believe we need to do whatever we can to further back our folks in law enforcement in the cases that they work hard on. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
No.
Commissioner Wise?
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow?
Aye. And the motion passes 4-1. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item H, a resolution determining the advisability of and authorizing the creation of a benefit district in Sedgwick County, Kansas, making certain findings relating thereto, and authorizing and providing for the making of certain road improvements therein.
Morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Lynn Packer, your Director of Public Works and County Engineer. This agenda item is the creation of a benefit district specifically for Riverbend Acres. The recommended action that we're recommending is the adopted resolution. Riverbend Acres is a small subdivision recently created, 7 lots. It's located adjacent to the Ark River on the west side of the Ark River, north of 87th Street. As I noticed, 7 lots. 100% of the petition was signed, which was by the developer who owns 100% of those lots right now. The improvement is that cul-de-sac you see on the screen. It is a small cul-de-sac that will be paved and have open ditches. Like I said, it's a relatively small petition, just over $376,000. It'll be spread evenly amongst those lots. The principal costs just under $54,000. And if you were to assume a 5% interest over 15 years, you're looking at about $5,000 per lot per year. I'm here with Garth Herman of Gilmore and Bell, our bond counsel. Garth Brooks could not make it here again today, so he's covering. But if he's here, if we have any questions about the process or the numbers.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? If not, I'll bring it back and make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebock.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Next item.
Item I, Zone 2025-0057, zone change request in the county from RR Rural Residential to SF20 Single Family Residential with Protective Overlay number 474, generally located south of West 21st Street North and 1,500 feet west of North 263rd Street West.
Scott Wadle. Good morning, Scott.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. So Scott Wadle from the Planning Department. This is a case that you've seen before, so I'll try and just hit the highlights. As you heard, it's a rezoning case. They're requesting a rezone from rural residential to SF20. The applicant has indicated they're requesting that in order to have smaller lot sizes. They're proposing to develop this 25-acre property into 12 lots. And also, in the meantime, since this case was sent back to the MAPC, prior to considering the zoning case, the MAPC did consider the plat case for this one, the subdivision, and did approve that. Now, that has not been finalized. It's contingent or depending on this zoning case. So just some highlights about the property. As you can see here, it's located to the south and west of 21st Street and 263rd. It's made up of one parcel. It's just over 25 acres and currently undeveloped. In terms of context, you can see the properties to the north, south, east, and west. They're all zoned rural residential. The ones to the north and east are in agricultural and residential use. Properties to the south and the west are just in agricultural use. In terms of review, on December 18th, that's when the Planning Commission first heard this, and they recommended approval of the applicant's requested rezoning, and that was 9-1. There were 4 members who spoke against the application, and then after, following the MAPC meeting, there were 5 valid protests that were submitted. That made up 27% of the protest area, so exceeded the 20% threshold, and that will come into play as we talk about the recommended actions and votes required. On February 4th, that's when you considered it and sent it back to the MAPC, and that was to consider the possibility of applying a protective overlay, limiting the intensity of development and consideration of the quality and quantity of water. On February 26th, that's when the MAPC considered the subdivision case and approved that, contingent to the zoning. On March 12th, the Planning Commission heard this case for the second time. They voted to recommend approval of the rezoning, but this time they recommended it with a protective overlay, and that vote was 8-1. There were 2 members of the public who spoke in opposition to the case at that meeting. The MAPC recommended protective overlay would accomplish the following. It would limit the maximum number of lots to 12, which matches up with what the plat is showing, 12 lots. It would also require that the minimum lot size be no less than 1.5 acres in size, so it gives them a little bit of flexibility in terms of the size of the lots. And also, it would allow no more than 1 dwelling unit per lot. So it would not allow for accessory apartments or duplexes or any other forms of more than 1 dwelling unit on the lots. So in terms of the recommendation coming to you from the Planning Commission is to adopt the findings of the MAPC, approve the zone change request and the protective overlay, authorize the chairman to sign the resolution, and authorize the resolution to be published. Now that requires 4 out of 5 votes because of the protest being over the 20% threshold. Alternatives include the following. You can override the Planning Commission recommendation, make alternative findings, and approve the application with alternative conditions. That would require 4 out of 5 votes because it would need to override the protest petition. Or, as always, you can override the Planning Commission recommendation, make alternative findings, and deny the application. And that requires just a simple majority because it was sent back to the MAPC and is returning to you. So with that, I'll take you through some of the images and photos. Here's the image of the property. Here's the zoning map, was discussed earlier. Here's the map from the comprehensive plan showing it's not in any urban growth areas. Also, likewise, it's not in any urban areas of influence. Here's the protest map, again, over the 20% threshold. And this is a map showing rural water districts and the aqueous beds area, so it's not included in any of those. Photos from the site and surrounding areas. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. First, I'd like to ask commissioners if you've had any ex parte communication involving this case. Commissioner Meissner?
I have had no ex parte communication. Thank you.
No ex parte communication. Open-minded.
And I have not either.
I have not had any ex parte communication.
I've had none.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any specific questions? Commissioner Rady?
Yep, Scott, thanks for the work. Again, we've heard this before. We sent it back with very specific concerns. The concerns are related to water. When you have any sort of rural residential development that is dependent on well water to create a subdivision of sorts, I don't know if historically it's been too big of a concern, but it's a concern now, and it's certainly a concern for members of this commission. So I appreciate the work that's been done. I also appreciate that we've had a working group talking about this. I'm going to be supportive of this today. I'm still not comfortable of where we're at with policy. I think we need policy and direction so that all the stakeholders have an understanding of what we do or don't do in rural residential areas. Right now, could you clarify 2 things for me? What is regulations now for a rural residential subdivision-like development? How many residential dwellings per lot does code tell us we can do now?
For rural residential, they can get down to as much as 2 acres per lot. But if they get it rezoned to SF20, they can go to approximately half an acre in size. But that is dependent, that's going to be dependent on the sewage systems that they use. And generally what we find is that they end up around 1 acre in size.
Okay, and that's some of the challenge on these tight lots is you have to get distance between a water well and any sort of septic. There has to be distance. So that's the challenge that I think we have in our current regulations is we're so tight on some of these things. And again, when these are well water dependent areas, I think that we should look at policy that increases lot size to maybe 3, maybe 5 acres. When you're buying in rural residential, this is different than buying in an urban development. If cities want to go annex land and stretch municipal water sources, then they should. But in the unincorporated parts of the county, or they should and they can, in unincorporated parts of the county that are well water dependent, I think we play by a different set of rules and we have different protections on our resources that we have to be cognizant of. So the second question is this area here, is it over the Equisbed or not? I can't, 21st and I can't tell if it's far enough west to hit the Equisbed or not. It's not, is it?
So from the map that we were able to secure, and this was just in the last, 24 hours, maybe a little bit less. So we put this together. It shows the Equisbeds are located to the north, at least their territory.
It's north. Got it.
And likewise, rural water districts, rural water district number 4 is the nearest one, and it's located to the east and to the south.
Okay, so they can't stretch a municipal water source there. There's no, and it's not on the Equisbed. Do we have any data from any well drilling or test wells that they've done? Did they do test wells? Do we have data?
So that was an area of contention during this. So at the first MAPC meeting, it was indicated that a well had been drilled and tested in the area. There was contention that it had not been actually drilled on this particular property. In between the MAPC meeting, the first MAPC meeting, and the BOCC meeting, the applicant indicated that they did do a test well on this property and that it did show sufficient quantity of water for residential use. And we've got some notes from the minutes on how much that was. They said that happened on February 2nd. They found water at 20 gallons per minute. And so they believe that it was adequate for the 12 lots out there.
Okay, and county engineer shaking his head, yes, adequate, okay. Okay, I will be supportive. Let me just say a couple things. I'm not comfortable yet. I want to make sure that we continue to push forward on policy and some of these adjustments that need to happen. Is 12 too dense for this sort of acreage? I don't know. I was concerned about lot splits. That's now taken care of in a protective overlay, that 12 can't become 24. So we took care of that in protective overlay. Because of that, I don't think it's fair to a property owner that we continue to deliberate these things. Is it 12? Is it 10? Is it 8? I don't think that's appropriate. If this was 20 residential units coming out of this, I would probably have a different opinion. I think 12 is likely a sufficient number based on the data that we have available, but I want to keep pushing on policy. We have to have more direct policy that protects water use on well water dependent sections of land like this. So the sooner the better on that. Again, we're talking about it again. This tension's I'm gonna keep raising this tension. So I want to make sure that we can get something across the finish line sooner than later.
Commissioner, we've talked about this half dozen times, so I don't believe we've staffed this yet. Because I'd like to hear from all commissioners on a framework for the policy, whether it's 3, whether it's 5 acres, whether we're happy with protective overlay that protect the land and the water supply. So if it's okay, Chairman, I'll schedule a staff to discuss this topic.
I think it's needed, yeah. That's all my questions.
Commissioner Meister?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Reviewing the documentation, so you said the plat had been submitted, and I mean, it's pending approval, but did it meet all the requirements?
It did, yes, sir.
So I saw some of the comments of worried about drainage and typical things that people worry about, but the plat
That's correct. Okay. And it was officially approved by the MAPC, but they made that contingent that the zoning must be approved before it can be finalized. Okay. And the simple reason for that is because the lots on the plat are smaller than what the current zoning would allow.
Right. Did and I assume that the plat has, 21st Street is obviously the picture, it's paved. Is that the entrance into the area?
It is, yes, sir. They were proposing a cul-de-sac that would just go south, and then the 12 lots would all connect to it.
Okay. And then I saw also on the protest map, there's, looks like one property owner to the north by itself is over 20%. Requiring us to do a 4 out of 5 vote.
Yes, sir. It's quite large. I'm not quite sure if it gets to the 20%, but it is quite large, so it does make up a very large percentage of that.
Okay. And I read his comments too, which were of concern about drainage and some other things, but I will be supportive. Thanks for working on this a lot and redoing that. So thank you.
Commissioner Howell?
I'm just curious, is there still a need for a public hearing? I have a couple of questions and comments, but I might want to wait till after the public hearing.
Yeah, I'm going to I'm letting you guys ask questions, and I'm going to open it up.
I'll get to my questions and comments after the public hearing. Thank you.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes, I share a lot of the same concerns that Commissioner Beatty had shared. We're talking about, should we increase the minimum lot sizes out in rural areas, and right now we're asked to vote to actually reduce. So taking from, can you just clarify, from rural residential would be a minimum of 2 acres, and we're asking to come down to 1.5. Is that the difference? We're talking about a half-acre difference?
That is the difference in this particular case, based on the protective overlay. Okay. If it didn't have the protective overlay, it could go down to a size as small as just approximately half an acre. Okay. Actually, a little bit smaller than that.
I still have concern of bringing single-family development zoning, even with the protective overlay, into what is just wide open ground. I think I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if it was closer into other development, maybe St. Teresa Hospital, but I still continue to just battle with that. I don't think that my questions have been answered on how we can have a measurable and something that's repeated, not something that we have to emotionally vote on every time on how we feel from one case to the other. So I really wish that the neighbors that showed up to the meeting were here today. I wonder if they're okay with this overlay. I wish I knew that because I want to know where they're at with that as well. But just thinking out loud, I feel like we're asking for more, but here we're considering less. And I really want to figure out what policy should read to help guide us better in the future.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. You have 5 minutes to speak. Please provide your name and address. First thing I'd like to ask, do we have an agent or applicant in the room? And if so, would you like to speak? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Bill Fox with Garber Surveying Service, 544 West Douglas, Wichita. We're agent for the applicant. I don't think I have anything to present, but if you have questions, I'll try and answer them.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for walking all the way down here. Okay. Do we have anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this? Anyone else? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the bench for commissioners. Commissioner Howe, would you like to start?
Thank you, Chairman. Just again, it's interesting to me that, apparently that I hate to be presumptive here, but it seems like this is fairly non-controversial based on the lack of input from the public hearing. And I don't want to read into that too much because I know some people just can't get here. But I guess based on the previous comments, I'm a little concerned that this commission's taken a different direction on kind of where we've been going for the last decade. Since I've been a commissioner, when I first got here, it took 5 acres to have a lagoon, and we moved that down to 3 by right and down to 2 by with a conditional use or some type of an application, they can get a variance and get down to 2. And one of the reasons that happened was because a long time ago, lagoons used to be solids and liquids would have to go to an evaporative pond. Well, the requirements for lagoons has changed entirely, where they require holding tanks, so solids don't go out to the evaporative pond area. All that is for is to get rid of the liquids, and so. That was very intentional, and the reason we have large size lots required for lagoons a long time ago is because that was necessary, health and safety. That's what it required. But technology has changed, and we require those more up to date and more modern lagoon styles today. And the land size was excessive, so we moved that down to 3 acres or even 2 acres. And I guess that a septic system requires a percolation test. You can't just put it in without doing soil testing. And so it has to, it's going to be verified with an engineering stamp or some type of a survey that it has to be a certain type of soil for a lagoon, a septic system to go in. And again, they have a holding tank that holds the solids, and the liquids are dispersed in the soil. But it has to be installed by a licensed installer. It has to be inspected, and it has to be per engineering. And so it's not like we just are going, like there's no regulations here. There's lots of regulations in play. The question is, are we going to regulate the size of a lot that can handle that system? That system is designed to be, in consideration of health and safety. Are we going to be arbitrary and say the lot has to be bigger than that because we just don't want that to be small? We're worried about well water. And again, the well water, some people have plenty of water, some people don't. I think it is a concern, but people, when they buy their lot, they've got to understand they might have to go deeper. There may not be water available, and they might have to connect to a rural water system. There's a lot to be figured out there. But I don't want to be arbitrary and say we should not allow for 1 acre lots or 20,000 square foot lots. If someone wants SF20 and they can find a way to do septic and they've got access to water, we should probably be okay with that. That's called freedom, and that's called property rights. I don't know why we would necessarily be arbitrary and not allow those things to go forward. That's what this is today. This is simply the landowner doing what they want to do, and it makes sense to them. I don't know why we would get in the way unless there's a health and safety reason not to do so. I don't know what our actual question is, I guess, today is, why would we vote yes or no based on what's been presented today? Again, based on regulations as they are. If we're going to go back and talk about changing regulations, we can do that. We've been very systematic in the last 10 years, maybe actually 12 years, moving this towards a more of a freedom-based model, less regulations, more opportunities, allowing people to build their homes in the unincorporated part of the county. And we've gotten out of the way. We've allowed that to happen, and now this seems like we're maybe going the other direction for some reason. I'm not quite sure. The conversation has surprised me a bit this morning. So I guess I would ask our planning director, what's the question on the table today? And if we want to have a conversation about changing regulations and restricting this to larger lots, we can do that, but it's a conversation for another day. Please remind me, what are we actually voting for?
I think the question before you today is related to zoning and the density of residential that could be allowed on this property. So
we do allow it.
Currently, it's allowed to be 2 acres. That would be the minimum size for the lots.
2 acres for a lagoon.
Well, because of the zoning code, in this case, rural residential just allows them, the minimum is 2 acres just for that.
But they want to do SF20.
They want to do SF20, which allows just a little bit smaller than half an acre in size.
Right.
However, the question before you is, do you want to approve it with just SF20, no protective overlay? Do you want to keep it the same as it is right now, deny any zoning change, or do you want to approve it as the MAPC has recommended it with SF20, but with a protective overlay that keeps it at a minimum lot size of 1.5 acres?
Okay. And I guess I'm just curious, what was the rationale that the MAPC came up with for that overlay? Why did they pick that?
It was largely because of the conversation that has happened as part of this case. There have been a number of neighbors who have shown up, and they have concerns about water. They have concerns about sewage. They have concerns about traffic. They have concerns about the ability of the township to maintain the roadways and infrastructure. There were multiple, and that's not all of them, but those are some of the highlights of the concerns that they have. And so all of that kind of pointed towards density, and so that's why the protective overlay is there.
Okay. Okay, so that's the question on the table. And again, I'm wondering why okay. This is a question that comes before us fairly often. We do this type of thing fairly often. I guess I feel like there's inconsistency in our response. So I don't know that bothers me a little bit. I'm fine with taking the recommended action this morning, but I guess if we're going to have a conversation about what's a minimum lot size, let's have that conversation in staff meeting, Tom.
Yeah.
And we can go back and visit this
I
again.
think what's different today, and I went back and talked to Tim Wagner. First of all, these are 1.5 acre lots, so they have to do septic. They cannot do lagoon. Tim says the soil type is okay for that out there. That's issue number one. And then issue number two is when we have this discussion a lot is water quantity. I think what's different now, what's happening real time is a couple of things. There's more of these that are going to come. People are trying to get out of the city. They want country life. Chapter 1 is land rights issue. You're right. There's either a farmer here that has sold this or a farmer here who has chosen to develop this, and they have rights to do that. And then issue number 3 is we've had a number of these where we have water conflict out there now. There's Indian Ridge over by on Andale Road where we had a development happen, and now we got a water problem. And I think then people look at government and say, why would you permit us to build there when you know that when you knew that there was a water problem? And I think that's now a new question for this commission to wrestle with. And so then it's a question of whether we want to go back now and regulate and talk about. I think the main issue here is water. The traffic and the road use on 12 homes probably not going to be that significant, but water potentially is. And they're not, where this is located, there is no rural water possibility or municipal water possibility. They're not. It's not like it's right up next to a town where they could grab into water. So these are the kinds of developments that I think they're going to be very controversial for this commission, and we're going to see, because of the population and the growth, I think we're going to see more of these. So I'd like to staff it. I think these are hard questions for you to wrestle with, but I do agree we need consistency instead of just one-offing these every time, because it puts the commission in a tough spot and puts development developer's in a tough spot too.
I guess I have two responses. Number one, they do actually have, if the soil is not conducive to a septic system, they have what's called an alternative system, which is very expensive, but it actually does work just fine. And there is another option. So even if the soil is not adequate for a septic system, there is another legal option for them to go
My point there
forward.
was going to be, there can't be a lagoon on this small.
Cannot be a lagoon on 1.5. It has to be 2 acres or more, and they have to apply for that, right? And with regards to water, just because it's 5 acres doesn't mean they have water. We don't know. So the conversation is the same conversation regardless of the lot size. And how much water is available? That's a really great question, but are we going to regulate a water test of some sort before we approve building permits, for example? I don't know that we can do that. That to me is, if I was going to build a home out there and I was going to buy that lot, I probably would have a question about whether there's adequate water. And there's some responsibility on the part of the owner at that point to understand their situation. If they don't have water available, I don't know that can be a Sedgwick County problem. I don't want to accept liability for that. That's a great question, but that's not our liability for them to make sure they've got water. They need to figure that out. If they don't have water, then they probably shouldn't build. And there are people out there that probably have homes that the wells are running dry because they're shallow wells, or the water's just not a prevalence of water. Maybe the neighbor put a well in. That becomes a civil dispute, because why does one landowner have access to well water and the neighbor doesn't? Are we going to get involved in that? I'm a little concerned that we're getting involved in something we probably shouldn't get involved in. So again, if we're going to regulate lot size based on a presumption or an assumption that there's a water problem, then how are we going to solve that problem? And when are we going to require some opinion of an adequate water supply that we're going to get involved in? We will prove this one because we think there's water available, and maybe there's not. And that one we don't approve it because we don't think there's water available. Maybe there is. I think we should stay out of that discussion. So I'm a little concerned about where this is headed. Thank you, Chairman.
Tom, you and I have had some email exchanges from the outside of folks. They're kind of leaning on the county as to, we're land rights guys. You should be able to sell property as you want. But a lot of folks are like, well, is the county setting someone up to fail, to allowing these transactions to happen when maybe there's not access, there's not water, there's not this? I mean, what's your opinion in that? Or
I think the burden is on the county to create regulation. I will tell you, and I live out there, but I think 5-acre lots are a lot more palatable to people that live in that area. I don't know that. I think there's and we've got people in the room here yet today. I think there's a cultural expectation out there of protection of a way of life but yet we all see the need to grow, and there's going to be requests out here for residential area. But you're right, Chairman. Chapter 1 is there's land rights issues, and all 5 commissioners firmly believe in land rights. That's what the people's will is right now. But I think, and I'm hearing you, Commissioner Howell. I think this is a debate, which is why I want to staff it. I don't know. I think we're in the wrong environment to have maybe this kind of discussion, but I think we should staff it and let the people argue about it, and then we'll set regulation depending on the will of the body. So
I agree with that, and I'd love to see it in a staff, just because I do feel like folks feel like there's still an expectation to us to, well, why did you let this happen? And we're property rights folks. So Commissioner Beatty.
Chris Labrum will tell you all the time in MABCD that and Tim will tell you that when something bad happen, they're going to blame government. Yeah. And and I agree, we shouldn't maybe own that, but if that's an expectation, then I think the commission needs to talk about that in the staff of what our responsibility is.
Yep, I agree. Yep. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Commissioner Howell, for the comments. We do need to have a staff conversation, so I'm not even sure exactly where my head's at on some of these issues. Here's what I know is rural development's different than urban development. Here's what I know, and I don't disdain or blame or criticize anyone that doesn't understand, like my family understands, what it's like to be dependent on a well. That I'm the only guy sitting up here whose family's dependent on well water. So I have a little bit different sincerity as to what happens, not just at my home and my conservation, but what people around me are doing that will impact the future for my family. because they can't stretch a water source to me or other people. So this is the type of conversation we have to have because, as Tom alluded to, development is coming to rural America, to rural Sedgwick County, and we have to make sure that we understand what that looks like. And the one source that I do think we have a community obligation to protect is water. It is water. And we have people from urban settings coming to rural settings that don't fully, and I can't tell you how many people have bought land and ready to build a house and had no idea they got to tie in with rural electric and the cost to do that. I can't tell you how many people buy, and I had a conversation with a constituent just 2 weeks ago that had no idea that they're not going to turn on the water and water's just going to come out, that you have to do things with septic and alternative systems. And so the onus is on the property owner to do those things, but I just want, there are other people that live in these areas who are impacted by their decisions, and there is a layer of protection that we have to provide on water. And there's another setting as to this balance between property rights and that we have subjugated ourselves to zoning regulations, and admittedly as a community and society said we're willing to regulate our property rights. We're willing to limit our property rights so that we have consistency in regulation and consistency in zoning. That's what we've done. We can do what Houston does, no zoning regulations whatsoever, but we haven't done that here. So now we have, as a community, said we're willing to limit our property rights for the sake of consistency. And what's happening is consistency is being challenged, and we just have to be able to balance it. I don't know if I have the answers, but for damn sure, no, I'm going to protect water. We just went through 10 years of drought, and I know that not everybody had the same experience I had and my family had, but this is the one thing that we have to protect is water. And I don't want a subdivision of 50 homes coming around my property that's going to impact my capacity to dry up my well. And I think that we have an obligation as policy setters to a community that has acknowledged we're willing to let you limit our property rights for consistency. That's what zoning regulations do. That we have to consider these things, and we can't consider them today, but we need to consider them in a staff setting, because I think we don't just have a practical obligation. When it comes to water in a community and people whose lives depend on it, we have a moral obligation to have these conversations. So I'm all aboard.
Yeah. You know, Commissioner, I completely agree with you, and especially when it comes to water. 140 years ago, I remember my grandpa showing me the old, whenever they originally founded the houses in Kansas, they had cistern pits, you know? They built the house and just fill a cistern. So definitely we're more advanced today and should be able to make, you know, better decisions to ensure that. Commissioner Weiss.
I think the question here is just how we want to approach density as the rural areas are sought after, and it's becoming more and more. We see it from the bench here having to make decisions. I just want to answer the question on what's appropriate density if we're outside of public utilities. You know, some sort of, is there a plan, a comprehensive plan that we could have on zoning phases? Like, you can't go from agricultural, you know, land to single family dwellings. Maybe there's, I really don't like regulations, but I think we have a responsibility here to understand what's appropriate. And I think Commissioner Beatty said it really well, that we've been asked for some limitation on property rights to protect, call it order, or you know, just a community built out, fitting together, and not having what maybe Houston would have without any zoning regulations. They ask for zoning regulations. So I just am struggling with that. And I think the key word here is density. We need to understand what's appropriate as we address these type of zoning requests.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. Just, I guess, as a final comment, I don't know what the density is out there. You say that there's no rural water available. You know, every rural water district at some point had to find a way to formulate a new district to answer that question. And you know, there's areas of the county that have houses that are spread out 5 acres apart or 10 acres apart or even further apart. The water district becomes less likely in that point because the cost for each home is going to be very high. Higher density actually allows the district maybe to be formulated and answer the call. So again, just because there's not a water district there today doesn't mean that there could not be one. And I think if you're going to mandate larger lots, I think the likelihood of getting a district in place is getting further, is becoming more, or is becoming less likely. Higher density might drive the opportunity for a water district. So again, I don't know that we ought to be getting involved in that discussion. If the density was high enough and they have a need for water, the district is an option for them to answer that question. So
I will tell you, we've talked with rural water in the last 2 years. So I'm manager 7 years now. First 5 years, never had this discussion. Last 2 years, having it a lot. We've had some discussion with rural water, and specifically along the problem that they're having along Andale Road with water. And that is 1 mile off of a rural water district. And to get water to that group of homes is just cost prohibitive for those owners. So at this site, where rural water is miles, plural, away, I don't know what the cost that would be, but and I think we tried to challenge rural water is, can you stretch? Or City of Wichita for that matter, can you stretch water? I don't know.
If I could, we hosted that, Commissioner Howe. We hosted a meeting with all the rural water districts, and it was about $1 million per mile. But that wasn't even the bigger problem. The bigger problem is when they stretch it because of the 4-inch pipe, they don't have enough intensity of water to serve it. They couldn't, and so it wasn't even if they had the capacity financially to serve these areas, they don't have enough intensity of water pressure to get enough. So we started talking. Okay, what creative options do we have to help water districts get the resources they need? And then we learn it's a state level conversation that we can't create water districts. We can't. There's nothing. It's not done at the county level. So that's why I love the idea of the staff meeting, because it's a broader conversation that really does have to happen, so that we can actually build some policy that makes sense for everybody involved, for the current homeowners, for the prospective landowner, or the prospective developers that are coming that way. So it's very complicated, but it's very important to have a conversation about these things.
Justin, I'd like to have a discussion a little bit about our options here. I see we have 3 options in front of us. I think we all want to maybe lean on the policy here. I don't know, is there a way to punt this, or I hate sending something back to planning when we don't really know what we're asking them for.
No, that's fair, Chairman. Justin Widener, County Councilor. And at this point, you actually can't send this back to the Planning Commission since you've already done that. You could certainly defer the action with a simple majority vote. You can take any of the 3 other options. So I guess that'd be a 4th option you could have, but you could defer it. Again, I think there's valid options there for you, and I think there are valid reasons that you could, including the discussion you're all having here, as to why you could defer it for a reasonable period of time to have the discussion. Happy to answer any other questions you have, Chairman, on that.
Tom, do you have any idea how long it would take to staff this and potentially come up with a policy? That's probably going to extend it out quite a ways.
It's easy to staff discussion. I think we could do that. The calendar's right in front of me, but either next Tuesday or Tuesday after. If that helps, Commission, we will make it a priority and move some pieces around.
I'm just kind of going to speak freely here, since we have so much going on with planning and data centers and solar. Is 90 days too far out to kick this out?
Chairman, I think 90 days would be too far. I would urge not to go that far out. I'm looking to my co-counsel, Kirk Sponsel. I'm thinking if you set it out maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I think that's probably a more reasonable duration. I know you're talking about a general policy decision. I think you could try to apply. I don't think you have to make a policy decision countywide on this issue to make a decision on this zoning case. But I can also understand, I'm hearing commissioners that want to have this discussion more in depth before making a decision on this zoning case, perhaps. So I think you could have that policy policy discussion in a staff meeting. Again, not talking about this particular zoning case when you do that. And then, maybe I said maybe 4 to 6 weeks is probably a more reasonable time frame. You come back and perhaps that would help shape your decision-making process in terms of understanding some of these issues better. Again, that wouldn't be a hearing on this case, that'd be a hearing on the policy issues, but I think you wouldn't have to finalize the policy issues in your zoning code to at least have an understanding and maybe help you reconsider some of these issues. And Kirk, I'd hand it to you in case you wanted to supplement any of that.
Yeah, no, Kirk Spence, Deputy County Councilor, I think 4 to 6 weeks is fine.
Pardon me? You think that's fine?
I think that's fine, yes.
Okay.
And Chairman, I mean, obviously you wouldn't have to follow. You could ask the applicant if they have any concerns on that. I don't think you're bound by what the applicant's agent may say, but you could certainly solicit input if you wanted to from the applicant's agent on that as well.
Do you have any input, sir? You have to come up to the mic. You can sit closer. We don't bite.
Again, I'm Bill Fox, Garber Surveying Service. We've been around with this for some time now. The applicant does have financing costs that they're looking at that just keep getting stretched further and further out.
Thanks.
So, I don't think this is the right time to delay this one project to make decisions for the whole county. I think we'd like to move on here.
Okay. Commissioner Meissner?
Thank you. Thanks for your comment. But even before your comment, I was feeling that if we're going to get into county-wide issue like this, zoning and water, I would feel sorry for the applicant that be caught up in, it just doesn't go as fast as 4 to 6 weeks from now. That zoning and the comprehensive plan and all the input that would happen to address this. So I would be more in favor of an up-down vote on this applicant as recommended by the Planning Commission, out of respect to that and in respect to you. And then we can still cover everything we need to cover, but I just feel respectful for the applicant.
Okay. Commissioner Bates?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you so much. And as a self-proclaimed water tyrant here, I have a lot of angst about building policy after an application is in, where you have a landowner, a property owner that has played by the rules that exist, and we've gone back and added more protective overlays that I'm relatively comfortable with. So I do have angst with a property owner who's playing by the rules and getting more delays. There's financial. They bought the property under current regulations with obviously financial decisions in mind. I do think that's the balance that we have to lean towards. So I would agree with Commissioner Meissner. I always, in zoning cases, try to hear very clearly from the commissioner in the district. So I appreciate Commissioner Wise's approach and largely agree. I do have some tension that we'd be holding off another property owner in an application and try to build policy while an application's already in. Now, I will tell you, Mr. Fox, if this protective overlay didn't exist and there was a chance for a lot split that this can become 24 homes within 25 acres, or if it was more than 12, I might have a little bit more tension, but I actually think this is a rather modest development. That does not alleviate my water concerns on a larger scale, but I do agree that we have an application in, we have a property owner in Sedgwick County that needs some prudence and needs us to be responsive sooner than later. And so I would be hesitant to want to send it back. The policy decision's a bigger policy decision. My main concerns on these subdivisions when we get 25, 30, 40 homes dependent on rural water sources, or well water sources. So I would agree with Commissioner Meissner. I really do think we need to push and then on this application.
Okay. Commissioner Wise?
I just want to thank you for all of, I want to thank you for all of your work. I'm not trying to be a booger. I think that I appreciate has that ever been said up here before? Okay. I do want to send appreciation to planning staff, to you as the applicant's agent, to our planning commission for the protective overlay. I know that they're trying to put this in a safety box for all of us and for the community. So I don't want that to go unnoticed. My concerns haven't been satisfied. And so I want to make sure that everybody understands that I have those concerns and they're not satisfied yet, but I do recognize all of the work that you've done. I want to be respectful of the applicant and their time as well. So I just wanted to let you know I do appreciate the work that's been done and the protections that have been presented.
Well, I would like to move that the board overrides the recommendation of the MAPC and denies the zone change based on concerns on the impact of the neighbors due to water availability.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Apologies, Commissioner. If I may, also as part of that analysis, I know there was discussion about the number of lots in an agricultural area. Would this also be the compatibility and the comparison to the surrounding areas where we're looking at a subdivision with numerous lots versus surrounding area that's more agricultural in nature? I mean, would that be a consideration as well?
Yeah, I'd like to add to my motion also that I believe that this is inconsistent use, 12 lots in a residential versus an agricultural area.
And just want to confirm with the second, agree with that as well.
Second. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Lights on?
Do we have any questions about the motion?
Lights on.
Yeah.
So I guess, can you read your motion again, please, Mr. Chairman?
I move that the board overrides the recommendation of the MAPC and denies the zone change due to concerns about impact on neighbors, water availability, inconsistent use with 12 lots in a residential versus an agricultural area.
Okay, so the one thing that's different than what MAPC brought us is the issue of water availability, because the reduction in the number of lots, the increase from essentially 20,000 square feet to 1.5 acres was a response to the concerns about the density. And so the MAPC did not bring us anything about water availability. That's a new concern. Am I saying that right?
Water availability was identified as a concern by neighbors at the first MAPC meeting. It was also identified during the BOCC meeting. And then during the second MAPC meeting, there was the well information that was drilled on, the test well that was drilled on the property that the applicant brought. But still, individuals who were present did provide public comment with concerns about water.
What was the results of that well test?
The results of the well test, that they felt that it was sufficient to supply the housing development, and that was included in the MAPC notes. I'll see if I can flip to it shortly here. So they did that on February 2nd. They put down a test well. They found water at 20 gallons per minute with that test well, and so they felt that it was adequate for the 12 lots out there.
Do we have any professional staff that reviewed that and have accepted that as a reasonable conclusion of that test?
I will defer to either MABCD or Public Works if they have any thoughts or comments on it. I believe Lynn earlier was nodding in agreement that that was sufficient.
He was not in agreement?
Nodding his head in agreement earlier.
He thought it was sufficient. Okay.
It's on the test well and whether the 20 gallons per minute is adequate.
Yes, I'll just confirm that we have not seen the results, but verbally we're told you had a result of 20 gallons per minute, which would be sufficient for that area. If that is, but we had not seen the actual results, just verbally heard that that was the result. I just want to be clear.
I guess my question would be, if we had more information, would we eliminate that from this list of reasons to oppose this? It sounds like the applicant's already provided the data. But we're still using that as a reason to deny their application.
I think that depends on, one perspective is that depends on your comfort level with it in terms of the people who approve it. The challenge with a test well, as I understand, is that you have one well, you have, 25 acres, you have different lots, and I think it can depend on just your luck of the draw in terms of where those wells are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, again, to do this motion requires how many votes for this motion to pass? Requires 4 votes or 3?
Commissioner Howell, Justin Wagner require 3 votes for the motion that's been made to deny.
Okay. If we get our regulations figured out going forward on this topic, is the applicant allowed to apply for this in the future? At what point is he allowed to apply based on new regulations we're going to create?
I can comment on, under existing regulations, he would have 12 months after 12 months, they could submit the same application. If they make a significant change to the application, they can submit that in 6 months.
Okay. I'm uncomfortable with the motion as currently stated, but sounds like my vote's not going to have any, it won't change the outcome of the vote, and I don't want to be troublemaker. I might just go with the flow today, but it just really bothers me that we're using the water issue, because again, if we're going to use this water issue, we have that same problem in every single thing we do in the county. You can't disprove the negative, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. You can't prove that there's going to be water available everywhere. And we're simply speculating on the availability of water, even though the applicants provided data. I don't know what he could do to make us check off that box, make us feel content or satisfied that that's not to be a concern. You've already spent money. I don't know what that costs, but that costs a fair amount of money, I'm sure, to at least get that test done. And so I'm wondering now, how do we move forward on any development in the county that's going to have well water? This is a precedent-setting vote today. I'm concerned that we are creating a standard by which no one can get over that hurdle. So please remember this vote today. I'm concerned that we are doing something that again, public opposition by itself is not a reason. We know that in the golden factors, that is not a reason by itself. The issues of traffic, you mentioned a number of things there very quickly. There's more tax money to the township, and we don't necessarily deny people's rights to use our property because of concerns about traffic. If the traffic thresholds get high enough, we require improvements to be made. So again, that to me is not a reason to necessarily deny this. I'm concerned we're doing something that is precedent setting today, and I think the biggest issue here is political public pressure, which by itself should not be a reason to make this motion today. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to do here.
I haven't received any political pressure, so I don't know. I mean, if the other commissioners have or not. Commissioner Meissner.
Yeah, I agree with about 80%, 90% of what Commissioner Howell's saying. I could make a substitute motion, but I'm not going to, out of respect, though, I'm not going to support the existing motion I think about other parts of the county that being developed and in my district as well, and I can't support that and then try to support something that's going to happen in other districts in the county. So I agree with the workshop and I agree with the conversation, but I don't want to be on record as denying this, and so I will be voting no on the existing motion.
Okay. Chairman, Justin, questions, or maybe it's Scott that can help me here. There's a motion to deny. Takes 3 votes, correct?
That's correct.
If this motion carries, can another motion come, or is this thing done?
Once you have a motion that carries, that's your
It's
final
done.
action in the case.
And can you clarify when can that applicant reapply? You said it, but I want to make sure I'm crystal clear. They can have a substantial change in the application and can come back in 6 months?
If they have a substantial change, yes, sir.
And that is subjective to?
If it's
number of
staff gets to make the determination, but if it's a close call or we don't feel comfortable making that determination, it's not obvious in our opinion, then it would go to the MAPC and they would make the decision.
Okay, and if there isn't a substantial change, how long? 1 year?
1 year, that's right, 12 months.
Again, this is hard, and I just went to Tom, Justin, Scott. We're going to keep having this conversation until we get some policy where commissioners are, so we have got to push on policy on what it is we want to do. And that's a worthy discussion that we have to happen, or we're going to continue making this as we go. And I'm just not comfortable with that. I'm just not. So what I'm also not comfortable with is a property owner in Sedgwick County playing by the rules. We send it back and they agree on a protective overlay to strengthen regulations. I'm still not pleased. I still think we need to have a conversation, but this applicant is playing by the rules. And so I just don't think it's appropriate at this point in time for him to wait to get our act together on what we want to do to deny his property rights on this. Again, if this was 30 residential units, 25, I'd probably feel, I have my concerns. Everybody knows my concerns on the water issues, but this applicant's playing by the rules, so I won't be supporting this motion. If there's a substitute motion that will work, so I guess if the motion fails, it's still alive. So that at that point.
That's correct, Commissioner Beatty. Okay, I guess I want to ask my colleagues, you guys have all leaned toward a substitute. If you guys would like to make a substitute motion before we vote on the existing motion, that motion we voted on first.
Well, I'll be glad to make a substitute motion to, as provided, since the Planning Commission did take into consideration our previous send back to them, and out of respect for the whole process that we have as of today. So I will make a substitute motion that we approve the zone change with the protective overlay number 474 and follow the MAPC recommendation and override the protest petition. That would be my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Yep, Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I don't think this is an easy vote, and I understand the conflict here. I think we're all trying to be principled and careful. But I guess my position is that the regulations are what they are today.
Right.
And we don't like where we're at necessarily with regulations, which is why we're going to have that conversation going forward. We're going to have a staff meeting to maybe change some stuff. But we have an application under our existing regulations today. And again, I think it is a principled vote to simply say, I don't love this. I am concerned for the people not having adequate water. But we also need to recognize that when you have smaller lots, there's be a lot more personal responsibility on part of these people that want to build homes out there. Maybe they'll buy 2 lots or 3 lots. Maybe they won't even build a home. Maybe they'll build a workshop or something. I don't know what they're going to do out there. That's not our business today. Our business today is whether or not this application, all we're talking about is changing it from rural residential to SF20. What they do on those lots is not our problem. And I hate to say it that way, but we don't know what the plans are. We don't have anything else on the table for us to consider today. And I think that the buyer beware. If there's not adequate water out there, they're going to have to figure that out. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to criticize any of my colleagues, I think you're all doing the best you can, but I think the principled vote today is to follow the the recommendations of planning staff. It strikes a balance that I'm a little bit even bothered by the balance that you guys are bringing us today, because I feel like we have done something maybe we don't really have. I guess I'm not so sure that that's necessarily where we ought to be exactly, but I can probably support it. So, Mr. Chairman, I will support the motion. I think that's about the best we can do today, and I look forward to a much deeper discussion on appropriate regulations on this type of development. Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks. Commissioner Wise?
I'll just reiterate my concerns on density here and what precedents that we're setting as we know what we have policy here today. I don't want to make an example of an applicant today, but there's continued concern. I've every time we have something come up, I voice that concern, so it's not a new concern that we have water issues out there and availability issues. So I don't know. I don't want to delay this. If I could buy us 2 weeks to think through this, this is a really hard decision because of fairness. Go ahead, Commissioner Hall.
I just want a clarification from council that if there's not 4 votes to do this motion, it fails by the fact that we don't have 4 votes.
And then we'll vote on the original motion.
Well, please clarify, but I think if you don't have 4 votes, it kills it. Thank you.
Kirk Sponsted, County Councilor. Yes, I can work through the process after the votes if something unusual occurs, but yes, if there are not 4 votes in favor of approval, then that substitute motion would fail. And then we would go on to the original vote of denial, which would only take 3 votes to approve.
And what if that motion fails?
Okay, then
that's my point.
Then that is a situation where in the statute, we've talked about this indirectly in past cases where the statute lays out specifically that for those situations where there is a valid protest of over 20%, which we have here, no approval of an application can be approved by less than a 3/4 votes of the members. So in that situation, I can talk through it further after the votes, but essentially we'd be looking, are there any further motions? If there aren't further motions, then I can talk through the end result.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? If not, we're going to vote on the substitute motion. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise.
No.
Chairman Blueball.
No. And the motion fails 3-2. So now we'll vote on the original motion to deny. So Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
No.
Commissioner Beatty.
No.
Commissioner Howell.
No.
Commissioner Wise.
Aye.
Chairman Blueball.
Aye. And the motion fails 3-2. And now open it up to, would anyone like to make another motion, or would you like to discuss it?
What I would say is if there are no further motions, if this is not deferred, if there aren't any further motions for action today, then the end result of this item would be not by action of the board, but rather by no action being taken, the application would inherently fail.
Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to make a motion to defer for 2 weeks.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. We have a motion to defer for 2 weeks. It's been motioned and seconded. Any questions or comments? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise.
Aye.
Chairman Blueball.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0 for a 2-week delay. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item J, budget increase for Kansas Legal Services for expansion to protection from abuse docket.
Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Good morning. Chairman and Commissioners, Joni Wilson with the 18th Judicial District Court. I am here to request an expansion, an increase of funding for the Kansas Legal Services for the expansion of our protection from abuse and protection from stalking dockets. I have a little bit of information to share. First of all, I kind of want to explain what this is. A protection from abuse case is a civil court proceeding designed to protect victims from domestic abuse from family members, intimate partners, or cohabitants. A protection from stalking, sexual assault, or human trafficking case are legal directives that restrict an offender from contacting or approaching a victim, intended for individuals subjected to stalking behaviors, regardless of their relationship with the offender. So just a little bit of information about how a participant can file a protection from abuse or protection from stalking. We have forms available at the Sedgwick County Courthouse. Forms are also online through the Kansas Protection Portal, which is KSPOP, and that has been available since April of 2021. Or participants can print documents from the DC-18 or the Judicial Council website. KSA 60-3101 through 60-3111. These statutes and amendments shall be known and may be cited as the Protection from Abuse Act. This act shall be liberally construed to promote the protection of victims of domestic violence from bodily injury or threats of bodily injury, and to facilitate access to judicial protection for the victims, whether represented by counsel or proceeding pro se. KSA 3104 is where we get the direction from the statute that we may not charge a docket fee. It states no docket fee shall be required for proceedings under the Protection from Abuse Act. This statute, KSA 60-3016, states that we must file a court hearing within 21 days of the filing of a petition. Under this act, a hearing shall be held at which the plaintiff must prove the allegation of abuse by a preponderance of the evidence, and the defendant shall have an opportunity to cross-examine the petitioner's witnesses and present evidence on the defendant's behalf. Upon the filing of the petition, the court shall set the case for hearing and advise the parties of the right to be represented by counsel. So this information is what brings me here today. Since 2022, we have had an increase of 1,000 cases under a combination of the PFA and PFS cases. I want to explain a little bit how we handle these dockets. Up until about a month ago, any case that was filed within a certain period of time would be heard all day Thursday in the jury room, with 2 pro tem judges hearing those cases simultaneously. There would also be Zoom dockets for participants that were in custody or if a hearing had been requested. The jury room was packed every Thursday. We knew that we needed to make some changes, and what we decided was the best option was to move our protection from stalking cases to an online docket, and we've moved those to 3 mornings per week, and they're heard Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's set up to where the participants are in different waiting rooms, so they're not held in the same waiting room at the same time. They can't communicate until they go before the pro tem. We did that in order to allow more time for our protection from abuse participants to have time with advocates, with KLS, and in front of the judge. So once we moved those protection from stalking cases to an online docket, that allowed us to expand our protection from abuse cases from just all afternoon Thursday to an all-day docket, which means we need to pay KLS more. And we are requesting $25,000 per year to do that. So this year we probably won't get started if approved until May. So that'll just be about half of what we've requested. Let's see. Kind of went through those without moving this along. This also is beneficial for the courthouse, sheriff's department. We don't have as many parties coming through security if they're online, so that is also a benefit. We also believe it's much better to have less people in the jury room at one time also for security and safety. Currently, we pay Kansas Legal Services $30,000 a year for each Thursday afternoon for the PF hearing. So with our additional request, we would be paying them $55,000 annually. And I am happy to answer any questions.
I know it's very important. Can you help me understand an increase of 1,000? It looks like maybe you were in the 3 to 5. It looks like a 25-30% increase. So how come the how come it's almost 100% more for the?
We looked at the. Thank you. We've got this chart to show you. So we did 2 graphs, one showing the sum of the PFA cases, the PFS cases, and then the total cases on the chart. So the total increase was 1,000 of the combined.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions?
Yep. Go ahead. Chairman, thank you. Joni, thanks for the presentation and the work. I know when we sat down and talked through it, you guys were really able to educate the commissioners about what's happening and who is filing these protection orders and why we can't charge fees. I think that was a conversation that I had with you as well. Why can't we have the person that needs the stalking order protection or the PFA, why can't we charge them a fee? And it's state statute that prevents that.
Correct.
So this is one of those issues where we have to scale to meet the demand and the inputs in the system. And that's part of a larger conversation that we're having with our constituents, is that public safety inputs are increasing in our system, and we have to find a way to scale to meet the demand, to meet the need. And what's really unique about this clientele is these are individuals, many of them women, correct?
And women.
Many of them are, that are seeking safe haven, seeking protection. And there's an issue of justice that we have to try to find them that capacity and legal representation in this. So I'm apprehensive on a lot of increases in any spending right now, obviously, while we wait and see what's happening from the state and as we're getting into budget processes, but I understand the need. And I think this is very much core competency of what we do at Sedgwick County government with the 18th Judicial Courts. So I'm actually surprised that the 1,000 over 3-4 years, 1,000, this is the first time we've actually had this conversation with you. And there's no reasonable expectation that this surge is going to relinquish, right? I mean, you anticipate that we're going to still see more cases coming annually?
We continue to see the trend rise, yes.
And could I, Commissioner Beatty, I wanted to just opine just very briefly. You brought up the legal question. I know Commissioner Howell brought this up during agenda review last week, and Armand Shukayev in our office did some research. And I think I might just mention this and see if Joni and I are kind of on the same wavelength here. But there's no requirement by law that these services be provided. Certainly they can be. That's discretion. We already do it to a certain scope. This would just be expanding the scope of that. I think what maybe Joni was saying is that the courts can't require these people who are doing the PFAs to pay a fee to Kansas Legal Services as part of the court's mission. So if KLS covers this, it can't be that the district court is requiring them to pay some sort of fee. Is that, Joni?
That's
is that
correct.
okay?
That's
Thank
correct.
you. Sorry,
Right.
I just wanted to clarify that because there's a bit of a distinction between those are two kind of separate questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess, KLS is they have a lot of attorneys doing a lot of work for a lot of people. And I'm just curious, we don't have access to your budget details. We don't see that. And I do think this is very important work that you're doing. But I'm just wondering about the fund balances and how the funding actually works. Where's money come from for KLS besides Sedgwick County providing this money? Where does KLS get its funding from?
Commissioner, I would not be able to answer that question. I do think they are funded partially through grants, but I can't speak to KLS funding.
Do you know if they provide any type of fund balance data to that compels us, if you will, to make this decision today?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not sure about that.
And I think this may be splitting hairs here, but the word requirements is an interesting word. I think that's actually the word that's in the statute, is require. We can't require someone. The question is, are we allowed to the extent, let me read the exact sentence here. It says, no docket fee shall be required for proceedings under the Protection from Abuse Act. Is there a docket fee being paid?
No.
No one's paying a docket fee.
No.
So what service is KLS actually providing to the applicant exactly?
The communication on the day of the docket, they meet with individuals about the filing. There are times, Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, that KLS will also speak with the defendant to determine if an agreement can be made. And then that order is just signed or dismissed, and they can proceed.
Does KLS ever charge their clients any funding, any money for services rendered?
I'm not sure. I think when you call KLS, you can hire them on a sliding scale.
Right.
But I hate to speak to that. I'm not an expert on how.
I guess what I'm wondering is, some of the clients may have the ability to pay, and maybe some of them do not. We don't know.
Right.
It's not our umbrella to know that.
Right.
Okay. And I would presume if someone has the ability to pay and they're accessing legal services through KLS, my presumption is they probably are paying a fee for their services rendered. They're getting a service, they have the ability to pay, and KLS is probably doing some type of means testing, and they may provide that service, asking that client to pay for some of their services being provided to them. I don't know what they do. I don't know that it's all free. I just don't know. But we're asking the taxpayers now to pick up another $25,000. And again, this is one of those things, this is like one of the most politically high-pressure decisions. Do I want victims to get the support they need to get these PFSs in place? Absolutely. I don't want anybody to not have access to get the paperwork they need to protect themselves and their families. That is obvious. We need to support that. What I'm concerned about is going to taxpayers to solve this problem. We've been given the mandate from the state of Kansas to stop spending money. And I'm concerned that we're not trying to solve this in any other way than going to taxpayers, which again, maybe that's the right answer. I just don't know if we're ready to vote. I'm not ready to vote for this just yet, because I don't feel like we've not done our due diligence to figure out what are all the options. What's the fund balances at KLS? Where does money come from? Is there a sliding scale? Is there a means testing? Is there any way that we can solve this problem without going to taxpayers? If there is no other option, I guess I have to tell taxpayers, I know it's just $25,000, but that's a tax increase. We have to raise your taxes. It's a small amount of money relevant to our total budget, but that's what we have to do. So I guess, am I ready to say that today? I don't know that I'm ready. And I'm struggling with how we got here. This is maybe an expedited solution to the problem. I don't know. We've done our work to figure out what other solutions are there. So I'm just not ready to vote for this yet. I want people to get the help they need, but I don't understand exactly what other work have we done to analyze this, to figure out what other solutions can we come up with besides general taxes to help out people who are accessing a service, but they may have the ability to help themselves. I don't know that we know that. We don't know. And I think we ought to ask that question before we vote on this. Mr. Chairman, I assume there's going to be a motion to support this, but I would like to see a delay in putting us in that position to vote for this today. I think we ought to take some time to analyze that question and get KLS to answer some questions on this. And maybe there's a time for us to support this, but I don't think today is the day. In fact, I would rather do this during the budget cycle, because I think we need to look at the rest of the budget. Maybe we need to go cut $25,000 out of something else. That's a good question. Where are we going to get the money? If I don't want to raise taxes, we need to find a cut somewhere to fund this. It's a matter of priorities. So I don't really want to vote for this today. I want to support people who have the needs. I just don't think today is the right day to do this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. And I did have some of those same concerns early on whenever we'd reached this out, why it didn't follow our normal process with budgeting.
Yes.
Can you go into that a little bit and help us better explain what a delay would mean here?
Okay, so what we typically do when we need an increase during the budget cycle is we submit a decision package, which we have submitted a decision package for the 2027 budget. But we wanted to start this earlier and get it started this year so we can get that docket expanded out, provide better services, which that's what our mission is, right, is to do justice. And I just feel like this is needed now to get these cases spread out. We've seen the impact on the larger number of filings on staff. So that's why we're asking for it to start mid-year.
So if it was denied, is it going to get to the point where you're going to have to tell folks no, budget's run over, we're not going to be able to help you with the PFA, PFS, or?
No, sir.
Okay,
I think they will just be continued to be heard in half a day on Thursday with the larger number of hearings.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Commissioner Wise.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, these are the hard parts that add up and sneak into budget that make our jobs difficult, and I don't think people really understand what all county government funds for the public. Are there any, I think I know the answer, but is there any financial assistance form that you have to fill out in order to receive free services, or is it just an assumed that this is not a service that has a fee?
Do they fill out the indigent form?
So these cases are a little bit different.
You want to pop up here? Yeah.
These cases are a little bit different in the sense of how we do financial affidavits, because Kansas Legal Services does come and represent, and I know Joni said she didn't want to speak a little bit on that part of it, but I do know a little bit more about how that works with them. They are not accepting, they don't take payments from people that come to the protection docket. They are there and representing those people just under the contractual charge, the fees. So that's for anybody that comes in that needs that assistance. What was the other part of?
I was just asking more about if there's a financial assistance application.
Yeah, so we don't have them do anything then because they're already representing those people.
Okay. I don't know if I have any other questions. I feel like we're just put in really tough spots today, but where I see the good that comes from the money that this would support, but I just don't know if it's a free service. I guess here I'll follow up with another question. Are you under a timeline of seeing these cases after they're filed? Is that what I'm reading in here?
Right.
So there's no this doesn't go on okay, we'll hear your case, but it's going to be 6 months from now. That's not an option. Okay.
Not that first hearing, it has to be set within 21 days.
Yeah.
So we can't control the number of cases going on that docket.
Yeah. Chairman, I'd probably be supportive of this just to get us through 2026, but we need to have a better plan. I think we need to understand the financials and how Kansas Legal Services runs, so we understand what and why we're being looked to support this financially. So.
Yeah.
Commissioner Reddy?
Yeah, I thank you for that, Commissioner Wise. It was the next question I had. The item today is about 2026, correct?
That's correct.
We'll have a budget decision package for 2027.
Yes.
So I want to ask two questions. First question to you, the chief judge and the judges, they approve this. They're asking for this as well. I know you're representing the courts, but the chief judge is good here. He's asking for this?
I have discussed this with Judge Gehring, and he is supportive of the request.
Okay. So, Lindsay, the next question is, this is a 2026 mid-year budget decision. Where did these dollars come from? Do you have any concerns with this? We're going to talk 2027 and beyond decision package-wise, but this is about using current budget dollars. Where does it come from? Any concerns?
Sure. So the financial considerations associated with this particular agenda item would call for the funding to be transferred from your public safety contingency to the district court's operating budget. As you probably recall, each year, just the volume of their work is increasing beyond even expectation. So we frequently do year-end transfers to pay for indigent attorney fees, witness fees, and all of that. So they do not have the budget authority to absorb this increase within their existing general fund budget. And so that would be the source. No, I do not have a concern with this for 2026, especially recognizing that in 2027, this will be a decision package and we can have that additional conversation.
Okay, thank you. And Joni, we'll have some data by the end of the year that we can look at. And
Sure.
Okay, this is a very specific case load. This is a very specific docket. These are individuals in our community that are fleeing for protection. They're asking for legal protections for specific reasons. I think $25,000 coming out of contingency, not being a tax increase, its current budget, I think that's a reasonable conversation that you're asking for. And I think that this is core service of Sedgwick County government.
Yes.
And I think these individuals, the data speaks for itself. It's 1,000 increased caseload. I think that there's an issue of the expediency in which we can help individuals and carry out justice for individuals. So if the judges are asking for it, I think you've made a case for it. It's $25,000. Lindsay has made a case that it makes sense, so I'll be supportive of it today.
Okay. Commissioner Meister?
Yeah, thank you. Lindsay, Johnny, thanks for the explanation again and for our one-on-one meeting to get into that. And thank you. So this is from the CFO. We have a public safety contingency fund. You don't have the authority to do it yourself.
Right.
So we would be transfer from, quote, public safety into this. So I will be supportive of this. Thank you.
Commissioner Howell?
Couple quick questions, I guess. First of all, this is April. Do we need 25,000 in 2026? This is April. This essentially, you want to extrapolate that out. It's about $16,000 for 2026. If you want to do $25,000 in 2027.
So it's $2,083 a month.
That's what we're doing. Okay. That's what increases 25,000 a year, but that's the
right.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I missed that point. I think you may have said this, but I've got a lot going on in my head right now. There are some efficiencies that you guys have realized because you're using Zoom meetings, virtual meetings versus in-person meetings. That's already happening, correct?
For the protection from stalking docket, we moved those off of the Thursday morning, to a Zoom platform to allow for the expansion of the abuse cases to be heard all day.
So that efficiency, is there cost savings that allowing this to expand the number of clients or applicants that are getting helped?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We're still hearing the same number of cases, but we pay KLS for the protection from abuse docket, which is what the increase is for. But I don't think we're showing any savings unless you want to look at more broadly the number of people that come into the courthouse. I mean, that's going to be reduced.
I think doing the virtual meetings is efficiency, and that's a good way to go for as much of this as possible. Yeah. So that's certainly a great idea. I think the chairman asked an interesting question. So no one that needs this, their paperwork to be processed and have this taken care of is being denied. They're all getting what they need, but it's less convenient because rather than just doing this on Thursday half day, they're going to be doing this on other days of the week as well. This is more of about convenience, perhaps, for the people who need the help.
It's definitely about freeing up the space for more time for the Thursday docket. These dockets are so large, we can only hold them in the jury room in person on Thursdays. Our jury room is busy almost every day of the week. every day of the month. So we had to look at different options, and the option was moving the stalking docket to an online platform.
Okay. As I said before, again, I think that I want everyone to get the help they need. I don't know that this decision changes that. I think the conclusion of people getting help they need is absolute, regardless of whether we approve this or not. I am concerned that we're spending money. If we're going to do this, we need to go find $25,000 to cut someplace else, the way I see it. But I would like to see us have more information from KLS regarding how their finances actually. I know I guess it's a nonprofit organization, and they don't have to disclose anything. But I guess if they're wanting tax dollars, I guess I want to be convinced that there's no other option here. I still think that if there's means testing or any type of income assessment by KLS, if they want to provide a service to someone who has the ability to pay, I think this law doesn't change that option. KLS has the option to charge that fee. So I guess I'd like to encourage them to say, can they at least explore the idea rather than going to taxpayers? So that, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see us defer this for 1 month and bring it back if necessary for reconsideration after we have some better data from KLS. So my motion is to defer for 1 month.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. Have any questions? Okay. Commissioner Brady?
Yeah, it's been a tradition here at Sedgwick County with the commission. If a commissioner is asking for more time, we try to honor a commissioner's request. This was hard for me because I do see the need. The data suggests that there's a need to scale. Commissioner Howe's asking really good questions on this. Joni, does 1 month, are we putting significant strain on the system if we spend a month trying to deliberate on some of these things? Can you assure us that these individuals are going to be served I know that you're needing to scale, but this is really tugging at my heartstrings as someone who is from pastoral ministry, spent a lot of time that we're seeking protection for stalking and abuse. So I want to make sure that people are being served while we're deliberating.
Commissioner, this won't change our commitment to serve the individuals that file the PFAs and the PFSs. It will continue to be a packed docket. I think there is a need. Assurances, I can just tell you we will continue to do our best to serve the parties and make sure we keep the jury room as calm as possible. It's packed. Full of people.
I understand. And we've invested a lot of money in court expansion, moving the DA. I mean, this is a commitment to making sure we have more efficient, effective services. And we've been scaling for 4 years now at Sedgwick County Government to make room, and this is just part of that effort, in my view. But I want to honor Commissioner Howe's request for a deferral.
I'm happy to gather more information from KLS and provide that at the next opportunity to discuss this with you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
I just make a comment that I am supportive, Joni, of this. I'm not sure that we're going to see any information that says we should not support you. So I guess we can wait for 2 weeks.
It's a month.
Or a month. Okay. Anyway, I'm very supportive of you, and I apologize that we're going to get more information that's going to prove data, but I'm supportive to get this for all the reasons that we've talked about before. But I'll honor a delay. Thank you. So my vote is aye.
Okay.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Wise?
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow?
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Joni, thank you very much.
Thank you.
for those motions. Next item.
Item K, reconsideration of item 5 of the minutes of March 26, 2026 meeting of the Board of Bids and Contracts, NEMA Traffic Signals Retrofit Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Joe Thomas, Purchasing Director. As Madam Clerk mentioned, this was originally listed as item 5 on the Board of Bids and Contracts on March 26th. That was deferred last week, and we're ready now to make this recommendation to you. The recommendation is to accept the quote from Gady's Sales Company Incorporated, and it's in the amount of $202,300. And I'd also like to point out that acceptance or approval of this is contingent of your approval of item W on today's consent agenda. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have and recommend approval.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions? If not, I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Board of Bids and Contracts.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meinster.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Chairman and Commission, Tom Stolz, County Manager's Office, seeking approval of consent items L through double letter AF, with the exception of item M, as in Mary. That was a request to vacate a portion of land of platted floodway reserve, and we need to do more technical work on that, so we'll bring that back. So L through AF with exception of M.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve items L through AF with the exception of M.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meinster.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Chairman Bluebow.
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. Next item, please.
Legislative issues.
Okay, we do not have any legislative issues today. Next item.
Appraiser appeal update.
Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Deanna Aspidon, the Sedgwick County Appraiser. Before I give an update on the appeals, I just wanted to thank you, all of you that were involved with helping set up the meeting with the MLS board. And we had that yesterday, waiting on their response about collaborating with them to see if we can partnership in some ways to help us on both sides with our data. So thank you for that. The appeals right now, the total appeals that we have is for informals is 9,390. That's a 16.4% increase from last year. It is one of the highest amount of appeals that we have. It's not the highest one. I went back to try to go look at our data. I only have data back. I think they're pulling up the dashboard right now. While they're pulling that up, we are still working on the dashboard with IT to iron out some of the information on the dashboard. With the appeals that we have scheduled, out of them, we have 598 of them have been closed, have been heard and are closed, which is approximately 6.37% of them have been completed. And out of the closed ones, there are 43.81% of them have had a value adjustment, and 45.82% have had a no change. There are still 33 of them that are that have issues that we're trying to work out with the property owners, and 29 of them have been canceled. Again, when we look at the dashboard, I believe it's the total count of appeals for each year. So,
do we show percentage of change on any of those?
Not yet. We are working with IT to put that on there.
Can we kind of give a plug about this information being out there too? This is on our website, right?
Yes, and it is on the appraiser's homepage. And it is evolving, though, and we're trying to make sure if there's any suggestions that anyone has, that if you have, we will work with IT to get that on. But yes, percentage of change, value change is one of the topics we're going to make sure that we get added.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
No, I just really appreciate you being here. I'm sorry to make you sit through 3 hours of this. I think it's continuous improvement. We're thinking outside of the box. You're doing things in your office that haven't been done in the past, and I appreciate you coming here and publicly explaining this and showing the new tools you're introducing and trying to be as transparent. You've been doing videos out there on our social media, and just appreciate all the outreach that you're doing, because this is very important to folks, and I want to know you're listening, we're listening, and we want to continue to reach a level that folks are at least satisfied with the answers that we're giving them.
Definitely. I thank you, and I thank for you all for your support on everything we're doing. We are trying to make changes to make sure that we're serving the citizens of Sedgwick County the way they need to be served. So it does look like a lot of appeals. It is a lot of appeals. We have made it works to where we are able to make sure that we're going to be able to hear all the appeals on time. Again, we still have the deadline of being able to have them all heard by May 15th and all the results done by the 20th and mailed out. So.
All right.
And we are open to, if anyone has questions, feel free to call our office, 660-9000, and we will make sure that if they're needing information, any guidance for what to bring to the appeals, we will help them with that also.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I know customer service is very important to you, and I know we got a lot of feedback last year about customer service, so I really appreciate what you're doing and being customer friendly and trying to help folks as much as they can. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Okay. Like I said again, I apologize holding you up 3 hours here, because I know you've got a ton of work to do. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item.
Committee reports.
Any committee reports? Okay. Next item.
Other.
Other.
Chairman, I do have one other. I would regret to not mention that 13 years ago today, I had a 10.5-pound baby. I now have 2 teenagers in the house, so I want to wish my son Chandler a happy birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, Chandler. Commissioner Meissner.
Thank you, and yes, happy birthday. That was a good announcement. I just thought I would bring up, I know we haven't discussed with each of you, or to avoid the conflict of coma or open meetings. But anyway, I joined the chairman, and last week we went to visit a data center group in Atlanta, and just thought I'd kind of update you on what we observed, and then you all can ask any questions you want of us that if we could help answer it. But basically, we went and we met with a development company, and we met them. We had a really good morning session at their office with members from another city right outside of Oklahoma City. They had a contingency of about 3 people there, including a city council member and their planning director and the data research person or something like that. Anyway, and a great discussion on a lot of things that, as you can imagine, including setbacks, public health, sound, noise, sight, power, air-cooled, things like that. So a lot of it was really good. it was kind of interesting when the sound and noise discussion came up. The people said, "Well, we're gonna go to a data center," which we actually did. They said, instead of trying to explain sound and noise, why don't we table that until we get there, and you can basically hear for yourself. Anyway, so it was really good. So I'll let the chairman expand on that, but I'll just tell you the day. Then we got in a travel van and went to the site. It's in Atlanta, and it's adjacent to a rail yard. And so on one side of it is a rail yard. So in a way, it's close to or included in an industrial zone, or at least adjacent to it. I didn't even ask if it was zoned industrial or not. I can't remember.
It was an 80-acre track, and it was a long 80, so it was like a mile-long 80.
Yeah.
So it was a real thin piece of property that ran parallel with Georgia Pacific.
Yeah.
Train, like their train station where they change out cars. And
so the train area was on, let's call it, to the west, and then they had built a road right on the fence line of the train deal, and so we got out, and then there was a green space of about 10 yards at the most to the fence line of the data center, and this is an active data center that's worked, and so we stood at the basically could see this big building, and along with the power generators were on the other side of the fence, and then the data center was another 15 yards from that, maybe at the most. 10
they explained to us that they keep the generators in between the 30-foot high concrete tilt-up walls, so that when they do fire the generators up, it really isolates the sound.
You can see and it's air cooled. They had all the air conditioners were mounted on the roof. You could see the tops of the air conditioners because they had a wall that came up nearly the size of the air conditioners, and their theory was so the noise would go up instead of, because that's the most noise was. And actually when we went on that tour, they also had members from the Missouri town or city that the fire department, about 3 or 4 members, the fire chief. So there was a lot of fire questions from them, and also had two citizens that actually live right there as well. So they were able to join us. And one thing was interesting was one of the people from Oklahoma area had brought a Jim, you'll like this. It was a Jim Howell soundometer or whatever.
I guess every governing body's got a sound guy with the headphones and the mic, so we found another one.
Yeah. So anyway, so we stood by the fence, and he had this, and because I was saying, well, what noise do you hear? Because I couldn't really hear it. And he goes, well, the only noise I hear is everybody talking, and so that was kind of interesting. Is one example, and then they were building another one next to it, and so we got to go inside that one and see the electric rooms, how they support the other room that actually has the operating all the racks, and got to see the fire suppression. It wasn't finished at all. It was under construction, but the walls were all done. Saw where the fiber and everything comes in, and so we got to see that. Interesting enough, so we're still on the west side, and we drive around to the east side, and there's a road, right there. And it was kind of the data center was kind of on a hill, and there was a sound barrier of maybe about a 6-foot wall or something like that. So a 6-foot wall, they put a sound barrier on that side. They didn't have a sound barrier on the other side because it opens to the railroad tracks. But the sound barrier there was, well, we did that for additional sound control or barrier control because this is no kidding. Right across the street, they were home, so we're on the road. And it's right there, and right across the street were a number of residential, pretty nice houses, actually.
I'd say high-end condominiums.
Yeah, yeah, and of which two of the residents that had joined us were living there too. So, and that's why they had joined us. So, anyway, a lot of discussion about those residents. Their biggest complaint was the construction, which is typical of any construction project. Was they can't wait for it all to get done, and just life back to normal. So they tried to compare the, got to get the terms, the megawatts to a square foot requirement. There is no correlation. They said it's just the size of your power. Oh, and there was a power grid. I mean, there was a station right there too. I mean, electric. The what? A transfer substation right there. Yep. Right there. Yeah. And asked about how much. What would be one of the questions was if the substation is not close, how close can you be if you had one farther away? And they said, well, it's just a matter of there's no degradation of electricity of power. It's just expensive, and to just build it to go another mile or two away. It's in a mile, I don't know, a million a mile or something. And the biggest challenge would be right away to get to another area. Boy, I don't know. And the Oklahoma contingent had already gone through an extensive zoning policy requirements, and they shared a copy of that with us, which I think it's prudent that we can share it with everybody. We did share it with Scott Wadle and the Planning Commission, knowing that Scott has got every information there. It's just another piece of information, but it's an approved public document that is all their zoning requirement. It's pretty good document. It seems like related to zoning, covers everything. The lady said that did the zoning asked her if now that she saw one. Would she change anything in the zoning? And she commented that she would require. She loved that the air conditioning, the air-cooled conditioning system was on the roof. She goes, and that clearly eliminates a lot of her concern. But it wasn't in that zoning document But she said I would recommend that you'd go something like that. What she saw. What else am I missing?
One of my big takeaways was the guy measuring sound was measuring our conversations in the van, and we weren't yelling. We were just talking normal, and it was much higher decibel reading in the van than what it was outside of there. My hearing's not the best, but I realistically couldn't hear anything outside of the construction work that was being done there.
Well, it was pointed out in our morning meeting in the building, and those of you that have decent hearing, when we're quiet, you can kind of hear a little bit. That's more than more than what we heard outside there. So anyway, so the noise thing to me is but I would strongly encourage everybody to actually to go to one of these and witness and see and
it really just looked like a warehouse building to me. Yeah. It was a 30-foot high concrete tilt-up warehouse. It looked just like any other new warehouses that they're building around Wichita or anything else.
You took pictures, I think.
I took some pictures.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know whatever you maybe could share or not.
Yep.
I didn't take any. I didn't have.
Send a non-reply email to the commission.
What was the total acreage and the building size?
It was 80 acres, and so I remember the building because it was 43,000, or no, it was 433,000 square feet. Because I said, "Oh, you have 10 acres of buildings," and they said, "Yeah." And so that's where I was trying to understand the footprint. Okay, you've got 80 acres, and 10 of it is 30-foot tilt-up concrete buildings.
That's really good for us.
Have
to
10
know.
acres of buildings, yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to see the pictures if you want to share.
Yeah, and then when we were driving from that facility to then we had to go to the airport. And as we were leaving that, we left that facility and driving along the rail complex, and it was pointed out, well, there's another one that was right there. And that one, right around it, I guess the Oklahoma people had toured it the day before. We weren't there, but it was almost like an economic development park. I mean, there was a pond with waterfalls, and there was restaurants and everything. I mean, it looked a little bit like a small Bradley Fair type thing with this big building on the bordering.
I mean, it's very nicely done development.
Yeah, it was what? Yeah, they said, well, they built the sidewalks and did all that. I don't know, whatever. So,
and it really looked like it fit in with that area, and the condominiums, they couldn't have been very old at all. It looked like a pretty new addition. It looked like, I didn't see gates, but it had a big arch and overture. It looked like a gated community to some extent.
Yeah. So, don't know what else.
Anybody got any other questions or anything? We're glad to share the pictures.
Yeah. So I think if there's a chance for any of the other three of you to see, you can go see that one or again, or go visit whatever is good.
I know, we've heard the topic already. It says, well, if you've seen one data center, you've seen one data center. Well, I mean, I've seen enough. I'd be open to look at another one that was different, but you couldn't. We could go inside the one under construction. You could not go inside of the one that was being utilized. And from what I understand, you can't walk in there with a phone. You can't an iWatch. I mean, the security is just. And I asked him. I said, well, could I go online and find pictures of what a data center might look like on the inside, and would that be pretty close to what's going on in there? And they agreed on that, but just because of security and stuff, you just can't walk into one.
So I would say, and I don't know why, it's just the chairman and I had gone to Barber County a couple weeks ago, and so we saw the site plan for the Google operation out there in Medicine Lodge. So that was in my mind what we were going to see, but it totally was not what we thought.
Yeah, it was much nicer than what we've seen in the renderings. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So anyway.
May I respond? I can't.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, I guess I would be interested in having the staff help commissioners put together some type of a tour to hit a number of data centers in different places, maybe a trip to Virginia or wherever, Arizona. I know there's a number of them that might be, maybe in 2 or 3 days, I would like to travel to maybe 2 or 3, 4 of these things and get my feet wet to find out, as the Chairman said, you've seen one, but I think when you get to see several, you might understand how these, what are the concerns, especially in parts of the country where there's a lot of complaints about the existing data centers. I'd like to go and see those. I'd like to go experience the negative side of this if possible. I don't really want to be sold on all the good side. And, again, when I went to do the investigation at Club Rodeo, a couple things I did over there was I showed up unannounced.
Yeah, you did.
I actually showed up. I've never been to I can't say I've never been to. When I was younger and stupid, I did some of that type of stuff. But since I grew up and got a little wiser, I don't do that type of thing anymore. But I showed up in there unannounced. I just they were surprised to find me on the dance floor with a sound meter. They didn't even know I was going to show up, and I was there doing that, and I was all over their property when they were open on a Friday night, midnight. I was there with my sound meter, and I got data. Trust me, I have a lot of data, and that's awesome. So again, I think just to get an experience, I wouldn't necessarily even announce our arrival, but if they know we're coming, they might theoretically stage it in a way that we might get sucked into their perspective. I want to just surprise people and show up and say, I want to experience all the bad stuff, and where is that? Take me there. I think we ought to have that chance to do that and make a trip wherever we need to go. not to waste any taxpayer money, but we've got to experience this, especially before we start trying to put our stamp of approval on some kind of regulations that is restrictive or is not restrictive or whatever we're going to do. I think we need to have a sense of it personally. So I guess I'd ask you, my colleagues, and maybe staff to help us figure out what we can do to get that experience.
Working on it currently, sir. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
To your point, maybe you want to see some of them that have reached some maturity. You know, Ohio, Virginia, they've been around 10 or 15 years, and have a good understanding is. Do they still do this today, or is there new technology? Because you know, whenever I was at NACO, I was getting a lot of negative feedback from the electeds in the Ohio area about data centers.
And to be as objective as possible, again, this sounds crazy, but I would probably like to rent some certified equipment to take with me, just because I feel like I can make this as objective as you guys like to make it.
That's what he did.
I'll get you guys some plots up on a PowerPoint, and here's what we experienced when they showed up unannounced at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 2 o'clock in the morning. Here's what it looks like. So again, I just think we need to be as objective as we can, and I will make this as scientific as possible if you give me the chance.
I would add that in our morning group discussion and our had us handout of Data Center 101 included a history that clearly these have been around for 20 years, 15, 20 years, and clearly the technology and the today's build outs are way different than ones. So I would assume that any potential application we get in Sedgwick County and or Kansas will not be using previous and old, the water cooled and all the things that. So there was pretty good explanation about that, and an admittance that today is more efficient or what blah blah blah. Of course, it was a sales pitch from them as well, and I recognize that. But if we do visit, I think we ought to visit anyone that's more current technology, because I don't think we're going to even accept the old school technology. I don't know what Planning Commission is going to bring to us, or if they're going to bring anything. They may ban them or recommend banning them countywide. I don't know. Anyway, that's cool. Thanks for letting.
Nope.
Any other questions or comments?
Appreciate everything you're doing on that, Tom. Next item.
Executive session.
Yes, Chairman, I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session for 20 minutes until 12:30 for consultation with legal counsel for the county regarding matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship in order to discuss Kansas statutes and a matter the board may consider pursuant to such statutes, and that the Board of County Commissioners returns to this room from executive session at 12:30.
Okay. We have a motion. I'd like to second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Meiser?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss?
Aye.
Chairman Blueball?
Aye. And the motion passes 5-0. We will be meeting until 12:30 in the executive session. We'll be meeting in the glass conference room down the hall. Thank you. Okay, we're returning from executive session. No action has been taken, and we'll go ahead and adjourn. It's 12:32.